welcome to Fish and Grits, the podcast. My name's Lionel. I'm wearing a Georgia hat to cover up my douchey haircut. I'm joined by my compadres, my ride or dies, my day ones. At least for Ryan, he's a day one. I guess Micah's like a day like 5 or something. Marco's like 40. Ryan Dollar.
What's up, guys?
Mike Poole.
What it do?
And young Marco Restrepo.
What up? Call me Marco Eckes. I don't need no my government.
Jackson showed me his new goal celebration today. You know, I don't know if I told you guys he watched Black Panther. Oh, where'd I go?
You're still here. I see you.
Oh, my screen just locked. And my Touch ID is not working.
It's not my internet.
And we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
It's not my internet this time.
Anyway, so right when Chadwick Boseman died, we watched Black Panther with Jackson because we think he's finally big enough to handle the more like kind of scary action stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just obsessed. He's obsessed with Black Panther. We also watched Captain America. No, he's not obsessed with Captain America. He's obsessed with Black Panther. So he was like, "Daddy, you want to see my new goal celebration that he made up at practice today?" I was like, "Yeah, let me see." He was like, "Bah, bah." I was like, he's like, "Wakanda forever, strong." And I was like, "Oh, we strong then." So that was fun. How you guys doing?
Swell.
You all right?
Doing all right.
I'm getting by.
Yeah. We're gonna skip current events today just because there's nothing good in the world, and I'm not sure God exists. But moving on, there's nothing but a void. Programming note for you guys really quick. So on Monday, we're going to do an edition of Fish and Grits Live. At least one or two of us should be live on YouTube for the Atlanta Falcons versus Green Bay game. That's Monday night. So you can watch us cry as we watch the Dirt Cutter offense.
Is it going to be
prime time?
During game or post game?
We were going to do it during the game because post game would be like 11
midnight
or later. And I'm definitely going to be in bed by then. I'm going to hit the third quarter and be like, I'm going to go to sleep when we have the lead, not when we blow it.
You wake up tomorrow morning. Oh, that's why I went to bed.
But that way I don't have to watch it, you know? And then we'll have our normal, regularly scheduled Fish and Grits show. We'll be live on Friday after we record on Thursday, just so that we could give ourselves a little bit of a break. I know this episode's posting a little late. We had to do some load management. You know, it would be different if this was like our job, but you know, we all got a bunch of other stuff going on. So sometimes we just need a wee break, just a wee break.
Give us a break, Taylor.
Yeah. Taylor. Let's jump right into it. So the Braves, I don't know if you guys know this. I forgot they were playing today, to be totally honest. I don't know what schedule I'm on. I must have been thinking that they were playing like an NBA schedule where they get a day off.
Well, that noon start time throws everybody off.
Well, it would have been fantastic today because I woke up and you know, I don't know if you've been paying attention to like tech news, but Microsoft's been having problems the last couple of days. Like Office 365 went down, and then something else went down this morning. But
trust me, I know.
Yeah, our software requirements tracking system went down this morning until like 3:00. And that was the thing I needed to do my job all day today.
Oh, fun.
So I was just like, oh, great. And Violet's here and excited. So it was, I definitely could have used a noon baseball game. I'm just saying that, you know, just to sort of like sit here and watch these people swing the bat. But Los Bravos, man, they won a nail biter yesterday. 1-0 in 13 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they won not a nail biter today, 5-0 in 9 innings.
Busted out the brooms.
Well, it was a nail biter till the 8th inning, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, opening up the ESPN app after I finally got on the chat today, I also wasn't on the chat all day. I was like, wow, those guys are being really quiet. I'm not going to bother them. So when I finally got on the chat, I saw like, yeah, Braves. And I was like, let me check the score. It's 5-0. So pretty comfortable for me. I wasn't stressed. Having not watched it. So the Braves advanced from the wild card series, which is pretty dope.
First time in 10 attempts we've gotten out of the first round.
Does that really even count though, considering that it's like this whole
wild card
different
series
set of circumstances?
Well,
but-
I mean, most analysts, a lot of analysts picked us to lose the series because the Reds pitching is better than ours. Top
And
to
then they
bottom.
have absolutely nothing else.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, Trevor Bauer gave us fits, and we managed to survive though.
Let's talk about that a little bit, Micah. Tell me what your impressions were from game 1 of the series, the Bauer, and did we have Fried on the mound?
Yeah.
The Bauer-Fried duel that lasted 7 innings was when they pulled Bauer.
Yeah.
So what did you get from that besides the McGregor strut?
Man, it really, the biggest thing was our offense. It really kind of confused me, and there were and you know, I was frustrated with Snit, some of his decisions, because there were times in a game like that, there are times where you might have to go back to fundamental baseball instead of just swinging away, and you might have to pull some bunts out and things like that, move runners over, you know. And I know now we're in more of an analytical era. So
Error is right.
So people don't like the don't like the squeeze and stuff like that. But I think in those kind of pitching duels, anyway you can move runners and get runs in, you got to use it. And that was the frustration for yesterday. But I was very pleasantly surprised how well our pitching staff held up, though. I mean, 13 innings, scoreless innings. Matter of fact, 22 scoreless innings in 2 days was very, very surprising and great for me.
So we have Fried, who is our best pitcher on the staff now that Soroka's out. Yeah. And Cole Hamels got paid $15 million.
18
million.
That's good. I wish I could make
For
that
3
money.
innings.
Rona made the
For
same
3
amount.
innings. So he made $6 million an inning. That's good. Fuck. And Ian Anderson, who was a trade piece rumored earlier in the season. But Ian Anderson, who I know you guys have been big on, it seems like both of them came up in the clutch. And I think the Braves were, can we all agree that the Braves are super lucky that this was a 3-game series? So they didn't have to get deep into the rotation at all. You didn't even have to find a third starter anywhere.
As long as Luke isn't on the playoff roster, I think we're okay, though.
Yeah.
But, you saying that, the thing that really surprised me was the quality of the bullpen, especially over that first game, right? I think we were in like the 11th inning or the 12th inning when, what's his name, loaded the bases.
Minter.
Yeah. And I sent to the chat, I was like, well, that's that. And, because I've seen this show before, right? But then I came back and we won, and it was, on a Freeman, Freddie being the hero, right? I was impressed with the quality of the bullpen.
Yeah.
For both of these games.
The bullpen's been our strength all year. It's been,
Ace.
it's been the front end of the pitching that's been our problem.
Well, I think I'm mostly still, I still have PTSD from
last year and the year before,
and Luke Jackson closing and stuff like that.
Like he playing it all.
Notice Luke didn't sniff a pitch in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But I feel what you're saying, though, Lionel. Because even though our bullpen's been great, you still get nervous. Like, bases loaded, they might give up a hit and give up a run. Especially like you said, bases loaded. That's just like, damn. We haven't typically had the pitching staff to get out of those kind of situations. So definitely understand what you're feeling on that one.
Yeah, and all it takes is like one mistake from a middle infielder, and then we're toast.
Yeah.
Especially with how streaky our offense can be.
Yeah.
Also mentioning middle infielder, Ozzy's been a little rough here in these first 2 games. He's had 2 errors in the first 2 games.
I think, I think that it's surprising for us, especially with sort of like when Simmons was on the roster playing short and Simmons would make an error and we'd be like, oh shit.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think that the schedule being as congested as it is, but also kind of shortened. Ozzy was due. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about it. I think he's high quality. Actually the roster up and down is just really, really impressive for me. So what we had, Ryan, your stats here are from the game today.
Yes, I have last night's up if you want them.
No, it's fine. So we had 9 hits on 33 at bats as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Our lowest hitters were Christian Pache, who went 0 for, Dansby, who is 1 for 4, and Marcelo Zuna, who is 1 for 4.
But his hit was so important, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if that's as bad as it's going to get, right? So you've got what Ronnie went 3 for 5.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie walked but was 0 for 2. Albies was 1 for 3. Like those are pretty good stats regardless. It looks like they're, especially against a Reds pitching staff that's as good as they are.
Yeah, they were. I mean, that's their top 2 are 2 of the best strikeout artists in the game. Like just
so. Tell me about Trevor Bauer, Ryan. Tell me what you saw yesterday.
You're pitching an impressive game, and hold on, let me backtrack a little bit. I am so glad that is the last game that the Braves will play on ESPN, so I don't have to listen to Alex Rodriguez call a game ever again.
Oh, thank you, God.
He is so bad. He is so bad. It's unbearable. I'm like, how many Pedro Martinez and Yankee references am I going to hear in one game? We're in the NL, man. We don't care. Like, we just didn't.
Was he as bad as Paul Pierce or Reggie Miller in basketball?
Reggie was
worse than them.
Reggie was entertaining to me. Yeah,
how does ESPN find the shittiest? Like they went on a run with having some of the best broadcast crews in the business, right? Being like the worldwide leader in sports. But then Mike Tirico and John Gruden were the perfect matchup. And ever since Tirico left, it feels like every part of their broadcast, like across all of the different sports, is just garbage.
Well, there are 2 factors there, really. One is Chris Berman. Berman drove off all the NFL talent because he's unbearable.
But he doesn't even have a prominent role anymore, really.
Yeah, not anymore, because they've kind of been like, hey, man, you're getting a little old. They've tried to ease him out. But then also, ESPN's just bleeding money because of that NBA deal. So they can't afford the big guys anymore that people like. So they just go off to the networks. They go off to like NBC, NFL Network, MLB TV. They go to all those places.
Tirico taking over for Bob Costas was a really interesting. And also, what's his name? The old white guy.
Which one? Rich Eisen?
No, that was leading the NBC football night in America.
Oh, Al Michaels?
No, not Al Michaels.
The one that used to work for ESPN.
Yeah, he's got a show.
Dan Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Patrick.
So Tirico.
Yeah, Tirico taking over and sort of like shepherding stuff is good, but ESPN is the network where when I was trying to watch some of these NBA playoff games, I would be like, oh damn it, it's on ESPN, because you have to listen to Van Gundy and Mike Brown, and like they hate each other. Like it's garbage. Anyway, Bauer.
The Monday night one is so blah. It's like I don't even really. It's just so nondescript.
Well, Monday night this year is way better than the last 2 years, right? Like the Booger Mobile and Jason Witten.
Yeah, Jason Witten was terrible.
Joe Testutore or whatever?
Yeah, Testutore.
Booger's actually good, but they just gimmicked him past usefulness.
Hey, get in the Booger Mobile. While Jason Witten says, I played football. I'm going to go back to the Cowboys.
Speaking of the Booger Mobile, they're about to ban it because some player broke their tailbone or chipped their collarbone or something like that. Did y'all hear that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, wasn't it like last week or so?
In the Saints game, one of the Oakland's players, was running. And
it was
trying to stop Kamara.
Abrams, Jonathan.
Yeah,
Abrams.
It was Abrams. Yeah,
He
was trying to stop Kamara.
He hit the ground and then slid into it,
and he was out for like 2 minutes. He was just laying there.
So,
Booger's like, yeah, I still got it. I'm still playing defense.
That's that hard-nosed punch you in the mouth football.
What did you say about Booger?
Booger reminds me of John Madden. He says like the most obvious, makes the most obvious point. Yeah, you know, man, they got dirt all over their jerseys. Yeah, no doubt.
You know, the team that ends up scoring the most points at the end of this game is going to be the team that wins.
Oh my God!
It's better than Collinsworth being like, "All right, you know what? No one likes racism. I just want to get over it and get on with the game." I'm like,
now here's a guy.
Now here's a guy who looks like Tom Brady. Al, have I ever told you about Tom Brady? The only person who slobs on Tom Brady's knob more than Chris Collinsworth is Colin Cowherd.
Oh God.
Nah, Skip Bayless.
I don't know. Cowherd might have Skip.
Like Skip still thinks that Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the league.
Stephen A does too, man. A couple weeks before the season started, he was literally saying Tom Brady's gonna have an MVP season, throw 40 touchdowns, 7 picks, and he's gonna lead his team to the Super Bowl. He was literally saying that, and I was like, wow.
That was an easy bet to take before the season started, right? Like, especially if you're somebody who doesn't watch Tampa.
Right.
You know, like we see Tampa, so we know. You know, but like if you don't watch Tampa, you're just like Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, Mike Evans, that defense, Super Bowl. And now we're all like, he's not even the best quarterback in the division. I don't know.
They're the best team in the division still.
All the quarterbacks look bad. All right, let's.
Trevor Bauer. It's not football time yet. Trevor Bauer.
Let's bring it back around to Trevor Bauer. The reason I brought up A-Rod is because he was talking about the game when he pitched, and he said he likes to get up there and he can really gauge how well a pitcher is pitching, you know, on whether or not he can guess their next pitch or not. And him being a Hall of Fame hitter and him having a very good knowledge of the strike zone and what pitchers like to do, he's usually spot on because he was doing it today with what's his name that was pitching? I forget his name. Anyway, the pitcher today, he was like, "Here's who."
Castillo.
Yeah, he was like, you know, here comes a changeup low and away. Boom, there it was. Here comes a curveball up and in. Boom, there it was. I mean, he was just nailing it. He wasn't looking at the signs.
Sounds like Tony Romo.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive. Like that part of A-Rod is impressive in the broadcast booth, but everything else is like, shut up.
I think there's like a lack of human element. I don't think A-Rod's ever had like
there's no personality.
Yeah, there's no like his baseball is what's always carried him through life. Like, so he's never had to really just be likable or sociable outside of
6'4" decent looking human being that's a super athlete and a millionaire.
Right.
Yeah, like,
and I'm dating J-Lo.
Yeah, like married? What personality? What's that?
Right.
Anyway, he said when he was watching Bauer, he's like, I have no idea what was coming next. Bauer's ability to just change it up and not have a tell or what's the word I'm looking at? A pattern the way he was pitching batters and just really just throwing nasty stuff with it was extremely impressive. And that's why yesterday, I think I commented on it a couple times. That was the most swing and misses by a Braves team I'd ever seen. I mean, we had plenty. We struck out 21 times yesterday.
It was a record.
Yeah. And he had 12 of those. So
over 7 innings.
Yeah. I mean, the dude was just dealing. And
I just love that he tried to shimmy and gloat and took that L. I
mean, he did his part. He didn't take an L. The Reds took
No, he did take an L.
But the best soundbite of I almost tweeted them today from our account because before the series, he's like, "Come talk to me after we win the series." but I didn't want that heat from Trevor Bauer because I know he's petty enough to come back.
He's
That
very
would have been
online.
good.
Yeah,
He's Michael Thomas. He's very online. He's very logged in.
at Bauer outage. But
Shoot
yeah, I mean,
shots.
he's a beast. He's just gotten better over the last couple seasons, and there's rumors that he's interested in coming to us next season.
Well, he's on a 1-year deal. He grew up a Braves fan, and the Braves like giving pitchers 1-year deals.
So
They're just
I
gonna
just hope it's
pretend.
not like
They're just gonna pretend that they're interested in him.
I mean,
I'm
we could
okay with
throw
that, too.
18 that we gave old Hamels at him next year.
yeah.
Like, listen, all you have to do is pitch 4 innings.
Liberty Media did say they're willing to spend more money, so
I hope they spend it on Ozuna and Bauer. That'd be nice.
yeah.
Yeah, pitching's where we got to get that upgrade. But moving forward, our first 2 starters look like they're pretty solid. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But we're going to find out on Friday, where we face the winner of the Cubs and the Fish series, which was delayed for weather. Who would you rather face in a 5? It's a 5-game series. We're starting the division round, right?
Yes,
Division series.
5.
Yes, 5-game series. Who would you rather face, the Fish or the Cubs? Micah.
I'm actually torn on that. I'm not scared of either team. Part of me likes to play the Marlins because we know them as well, but that's also a negative, is because they know us very well as well. So, I guess there could be an advantage to the playing the Cubs, but I think the Cubs have the slightly better roster in my opinion. So I'm kind of torn.
It's got to be the Fish, man. You stick with what you know, and we always feast on Fish. They're scrappy. They've been putting up a fight this season, but at the end of the day, I think you go with what you know, and you go with who you can sun, and we can consistently sun the Fish.
Pump the brakes there, bud. The Braves were only 6-4 against Miami this season. We had a 60% winning percentage against the Fish, which is actually pretty typical over the last 30 years. 2010 to 2019, we actually had a 64.5, which is our highest winning percentage per decade. Last year, we beat them 79% of the time, but they were really bad last year. We were 15-4 against them. And I don't think we end up making up all those games that we had to miss because of Corona against them early in the season.
That was the ones down the stretch there.
So I don't know if you can really, I think if it were any other year, I would agree with you, Marco, because we own the Marlins. Like, even when they're good, we own them. But I don't really think I don't know. Did we play the Cubs this year?
It was all regional.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's going to be, I don't know. I think the Cubs have got the better roster. And also David Ross. But I think Miami is turning from one of those teams that, like, we just own them to now they're spooky for us. You know what I mean? Like, you've always got that one team that just always beats you. No matter how shitty they are, they always beat you. Sort of like the Ravens with the Chiefs. So I'm worried that the Marlins might be our boogeyman coming up. And they've got a pretty decent pitching staff too.
Yes, Sixto is a nasty pitcher.
And all they got to do is steal a couple runs from us, because our guys are strikeout machines. So, could you imagine going through 3 of those first games against the Reds in a row where the Fish are just dealing?
Yeah.
And then, like, if the Braves get 3 deep into the rotation, who knows what the quality is there, So really, and this leads to my next question. How do you approach the next series? You know that you have 2 really high quality starters. Both of them would be coming off of short rest. So Fried would be coming off 2 days, and then Anderson would be coming off 2 days. Do you still start those 2, the first 2 games of this next series, to try to see if you can take 2 right off the beginning? Because then all you got to do is win one of the next three, right?
I mean, I don't know if you watched much of it down the stretch there, but Kyle Wright, when he came back up, was a different pitcher. We were talking about it, I think, on the episode you were gone. He's developed a new pitch. He's got a lot more confidence now, and those last 3 or 4, like his first one back, he kind of got beat up a little bit, but it was a good quality start. Just some hard hit balls in some good places. But after that, I mean, he lowered his ERA like 4 points when he came back, and he was a really good guy. So I would say we're 2 really good starters and a third pretty good starter now. So I wouldn't feel too bad about, especially if they throw out their number 1 in the first game, throw out Kyle Wright against them, see if we can steal one with our third pitcher who's pretty good, and especially against both of these lineups. If it's the Marlins or the Cubs, neither of their teams are hitting it well at all. They win games on defense and on pitching, especially with the Cubs having Yu Darvish up at the top. He had a spectacular year this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way the Marlins play us, man, and especially the way they were gaining confidence. Although they did lose Starling Marte today or yesterday to an injury.
Oof.
He broke his hand. Yeah. So he's available to field and pinch run, but he can't hit now because it's on his But I don't know. The Marlins just scare me. The Marlins are just that young, scrappy team that doesn't give up, and they have nothing to lose.
And they're riding off that momentum of making the playoffs, especially when nobody thought that they would.
Right.
And the Marlins are also spooky because of the way that they develop talent. I know that Don Mattingly might not be the best manager in Major League Baseball. In fact, I would put him sort of on the lower half, just as far as like his management style. But the Marlins consistently, with only a couple years lag, churn out really good teams from their farm system or sort of other opportunities. So like Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich, and what's his name? Their little shortstop.
I don't know anymore.
He got suspended for PEDs. Anyway.
Oh, well then Ozuna too. Don't forget him.
Right, Ozuna. Like, remember, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Giancarlo Stanton were all on the same team.
Mm-hmm. They were terrible.
And now Yelich is an MVP candidate perennially. Giancarlo Stanton's up in New York and is actually being relatively productive. We have Ozuna now.
MVP candidate.
Yep. So
to your credit, though, I know they did say that every time the Marlins make the playoffs, they win the World Series because they've only made the playoffs like twice.
Yeah. My buddy Joey, he's from Orlando and he's a Fish fan. And he was telling me that the Marlins are the most frustrating team in all of baseball because they'll win the World Series and the very next year they'll trade away all of their really good players so they don't have to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, but that was before Jeter. Before Jeter bought the team. Okay, so the other problem with the Cubs, besides Yu Darvish, that stresses me out is Haywood playing against Jason Hayward, and David Ross just sort of fills me with dread. You know what I mean? I think we were absolutely right to move on for Jason Hayward. He's really struggled since he left the Braves. I think he had one good season with St. Louis, but his bat just hasn't activated since then.
Let's see.
Stats guy.
Season since leaving us was actually last year with the Cubbies. But even then, he still struck out 110 times.
Sounds like Jason Hayward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. The year he was with St. Louis, he batted 293, but his power numbers were down pretty bad. Like, way down.
A lot of his power numbers have been down since he got hit in the jaw that one time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much for the next Ken Griffey Jr.
Well, I think his problem, he shortened his swing. Because that was the thing about him. He was real tall, real long, had a lot of leverage, was real strong. But when he shortened his swing, it took that extra power away. And then essentially he just became kind of like your prototypical leadoff hitter. He could occasionally hit it out if he caught it, but for the most part, it was just slap play, like hitting it in the gaps and running.
Well, that's because he had so much criticism his last couple years with us because he was hitting like 175 for a good bit of it. Like he was not making contact.
Yeah, he struck out a lot. He would it was boom or bust. I mean, it was bombs or strikeouts,
which is very Ronald Acuna. The difference is that the bombs weren't coming as frequently as Ronnie's hitting them.
Yeah,
like I remember when they put Hayward. I remember they put him in the leadoff spot because they were like, we're gonna try to shake it up and sort of get him going, and he was like 106 hitting leadoff, so you just automatically had an out at the beginning of the game. It was a nightmare, especially for someone who for me, I really like Jason Hayward, but it was just he's an excellent defender.
He's a perennial Gold Glove.
Yeah, so that's sort of the trade-off, sort of like us with Ender Enciarte. You're not going to get a lot from him with the bat, but he's going to save you a lot of runs too.
All right, so I just saw this. Sorry, Jason Hayward's best postseason average was with St. Louis, where he hit 357. Outside of that, in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trips to the postseason, he's batted 200 or below every time.
Sounds like Hayward. Was that the year the Cards won the series?
2015.
Yeah, because they won the series with Mike Matheny, right?
I think so. They've won it twice in the last 5 or so years, and I think that was the first one.
Let's check them out. 2011 was the last one against the Rangers, and then 2006 against the Tigers.
Didn't they win? No, they lost last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lost to Washington.
Yeah,
the Nationals.
Those fuckers.
They just beat us. That's why.
Walgreens Baseball Club. Yeah, they beat the shit out of us. Man, fuck the Cardinals. Cookie. Yeah, what a dick. He's a race. So the other feature of this series that we just finished with the Reds that I thought was pretty, besides the fact that the Reds and the Braves share some interesting origin stories. So the Cincinnati Reds are the Red Stockings, and the Braves used to be the Boston Braves. And I think that there are some other weird relationships between the teams, which I think is pretty cool. But the biggest one for me is that we saw arguably the winner of the Cy Young Award versus the National League MVP in Game 1 of the season. So Freddie Freeman being the MVP candidate, obviously, Trevor Bauer being the Cy Young candidate. It's always super interesting to me when we have the best pitcher in the league versus the best hitter in the league to see who gets the better of them. And Trevor Bauer owned our whole team, but also Freddie Freeman.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting tidbit that I learned today so the Reds are the oldest ball club in the National League and the only team in the National League to not have a Cy Young winner. May change this year.
They also haven't won a playoff series in 25 years.
I mean, they're from Ohio.
Right. What do you think was going to happen? They're from Kentucky, Ohio, though.
Yeah. The worst part of Ohio. I drove through Cincinnati one time. I was like, ugh. No thanks.
Yeah, Bearcats.
Just feels brown.
Bearcats.
And gray in that city.
So so they were the Cincinnati Red Stockings from 1882 to 1889, the Reds from 1890 to 1953, the Red Legs from 54 to 58, and then back to the Reds from 59 to present. I learned something about Cincinnati that I want to share with you guys, and it's about Skyline chili. Okay. So a lot of people malign Skyline chili, which is the signature dish of the city of Cincinnati, because they serve it on top of noodles. What I learned is that spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Okay.
Or macaroni. What I learned is that Skyline chili is not actually a chili. It is an Italian meat sauce dish. So it's just a different. Right, it's meat sauce, but they put it on top of like hamburgers and stuff like that. But people hate on Cincinnati. They're like, your chili's just meat sauce. Yeah, because it's not actually chili, you dicks. Leave Cincinnati alone, okay? You know how hard it is to live in Ohio?
Is Cleveland better than Cincinnati?
As far as baseball is concerned, yeah. Oh, just as a city?
Just as a city.
No. They're equally shit. Columbus is good though. I did Columbus.
Sometimes I wonder with these cities, like there has to be like a Alpharetta, like Roswell type area of Cincinnati and Cleveland, right? I mean, there's a good part, right? There has to be, right?
Maybe up north.
Not in Cincinnati.
I don't know, man.
Oh, in Cincinnati now, but
or Cleveland either.
Ohio, maybe.
Listen, LeBron James is from Cleveland, and he left twice.
The kid from Akron.
You couldn't find a part of the city nice enough for LeBron.
I know, right? That is funny though. I wonder if he even has a house in Cleveland anymore.
Shit, I wouldn't, especially if he could live in LA. Come on. Okay, so quick question for all three of you, to sort of put a cap on our baseball talk for right now. Trevor Bauer, Freddie Freeman, who would you rather have on your team, Micah?
Freddie Free.
Defend yourself.
I like, even though I love Bauer, I think Freddie is not great defensively. He's a great offensive player, and he seems to be getting better like every year. And then on top of that, he's a very good leader, and you never hear anything negative about Freddie Freeman in the locker room versus Trevor Bauer. Even though I don't know if I haven't heard any teammates that didn't like him. I've heard some friction. Some people have had some friction with him. So Freddie Freeman, to me, I mean, he went from COVID, being very sick with COVID, to MVP. So hats off to him. That's who I want.
Mako.
I'd say Freddie Freeman. I feel like, pitchers, especially Bauer, I feel like pitchers tend to be like hired assassins and sort of like do their own thing, whereas Freddie's like a guy you can rally around. And
face of the franchise, man.
Right. And I know neither of them has sort of led to winning yet, but I want to say we have more probably division titles than how many? Well, let me look at that real quick.
Well, we had 14 in a row, so I think that's safe to say. While Marco is digging through the stats, Ryan, who'd you rather have, Bauer or Freeman?
I'll take the guy who plays every day in Freeman. He is also a Silver Slugger winner. He's a Gold Glove winner last year and more than likely this year too. I think he won the Wilson Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's probably going to be your MVP. There's a reason there's a different award for pitchers that, other than, because you have your most valuable player, then you have your Cy Young. I could be wrong on this, but I don't think those two have ever overlapped. There's a reason for that, because pitchers are, good, but they pitch, every 5 to 6 days for you. Whereas your first baseman, who hits 347 and leads the league in home runs or extra base hits and RBIs, he's a little more valuable than that guy that you only see every 5 days.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. Freddie Freeman might not have had as much of an impact as Trevor Bauer in that game yesterday, but against Trevor Bauer rather. But Freddie plays every day and has a chance to be great every day, whereas Bauer only plays once a week. Ohtani might be the guy that breaks that MVP Cy Young barrier, Ryan, because that cat can rake. It remains to be seen if he can stay healthy enough to pitch. I think he batted for the Angels this year. I don't think he's cleared to pitch though.
For the record, there have been a bunch of pitchers who've won Cy Young and
Oh, really? Was it way back in the day though?
Denny McClain is 68, Bob Gibson is 68, Sandy Koufax is 63, Don Newcomb.
Oh yeah, Koufax.
Yeah. So it's I mean there are a few possible what's his name possibly did it. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Verlander in 2011. I know he won the MVP. Yeah, I think he might have. I think
Did
he
you say
might
Verlander
have
won MVP?
Yeah, in 2011, AL MVP.
Really?
Yeah.
That was when he was with the Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, before he went to the Astros and became a cheater.
Oh, Kershaw did it. So I'm just dumb.
That's okay. I believed you. The only other thing that I want to mention is that the Astros, did they win their series? Let's look.
Yeah, they won.
They swept.
They won their series? Okay. Yeah, that makes me angry. American League teams, do what you need to do and hit the shit out of them with baseballs and win the series. I hate them. I want them out of the playoffs. And to sort of wrap up our baseball segment, I want to talk directly to Trevor Bauer. Trevor, I saw you do the chop when you left the game. I know you were trying to be sassy. I'm sorry things didn't work out for you. But listen, the city of Atlanta is better than Cincinnati. It doesn't snow. And when it does, you have the day off. You can drive a convertible any day of the year. Our chili is actually chili. If you want to eat something, it's everywhere. You can find it here in Atlanta. Legitimately. Everyone comes here. And, you know, you could also pretend that you are playing for whatever team we're playing at the moment because their fans also live in Atlanta. So if you want to imagine what it's like to play for the Yankees, you can pretend you're playing for the Yankees at Truist Park. If you want to pretend that you're playing for the Angels, it doesn't matter. We have a really great soccer stadium that sometimes lets our football team play in it. But because all of our teams are relatively bad, except for the Braves, you have a chance to become a hero. Not just a hero for people who put their chili on noodles, but a hero for an actual city and a chance to win a World Series. Don't you want to pitch opposite Freddie Freeman instead of to Freddie Freeman? Wouldn't you rather get a Freeman hug at the end of the game and extremely deserving Dodgers team?
It's just because they won though, because a lot of every team pretty much cheats, but because they won is why we hate them.
I don't know how that recording happened, by the way. I just lost internet when you said, wouldn't you rather pitch to Freddie Freeman? And then
we lost it. Damn. Listen, man.
Come here, Trevor. Come here.
Come to us.
I hate the Astros because they won the World Series while cheating. And the level of their cheating, especially if you look at like Altuve and Springer's numbers, pre-cheating, post-cheating, it was like, this wasn't like, I'm going to get a little bit of an edge, like a pitcher with some pine tar, on his hat, and like he pulls his hand up and his hat's stuck to his hand. You know what I mean? It's not like that. This is like a 200-point batting average difference cheating.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you win the MVP because you're cheating, fuck you.
Right. Different level.
Yeah.
Altuve went from batting 298 last year to 215 this year. 83-point difference in batting average.
At the beginning of the season, he was batting like 052 or something like that. Like he forgot how to play baseball without cheating.
Not to mention 83-point difference in batting average in an abbreviated season.
It's 60 games.
It's hard to play video games without a Game Shark.
That's a Game Shark, for all of you who are listening to the podcast who are very young, was a way to cheat at video games that you could buy at a video game store.
It made your video game like a foot taller too.
Yeah,
it did.
It was very unstable.
Stuck it in. You stuck it into the Sega. Yeah. That's it for some baseball.
Game Shark here, video game here.
It was like wobbly.
Yeah, it was pretty wobbly. Well, did you guys ever see the 32X for Sega? So it was like an attachment that you would put in your Sega that gave your Sega 32 bits instead of 16 bits.
Really?
It doubled the bits. but you had to put like, in order to keep it from being super wobbly, Marco, you had to put like clips into the game, like cartridge slot to like hold it open, and that like slit. It was
The worst.
It was a damn mess, but you got some 3D graphics on your Sega Genesis.
For like what, like 2
actually,
games?
Yeah, I think it was like 3. I could play Doom on there. I actually have a Sega Genesis in my closet right now, so anytime you guys want to rage, you just let me know.
I really did enjoy the Sega Genesis emulator I had for a long time. It was fun.
I got a little
Then what
small.
happened?
You got what?
I got a little small Sega Genesis. It's got all the games loaded on it and stuff.
Nice.
There's nothing quite like that first level of Vector Man. You know what I mean? Never played Vector Man, Dollar?
Mm-mm.
You were a Nintendo kid, weren't you?
I was Nintendo, and then PlayStation 1, and then Dreamcast. And then computer for.
Ugh.
I was like
Dreamcast
computer
was
exclusive.
Shit.
The only time I played Dreamcast was at Media Play.
Sam Darnold just ran like a 35-yard touchdown.
Oh my!
Oh, I forgot that game was on.
Oh, never mind. It was 46 yards scramble.
He must have watched Trubisky and gotten inspired.
Lord.
He must have seen
making people miss.
He must have seen all the articles about how Adam Gase is dragging him down and ruining his career. He's like, he's not going to ruin my career. I still got skills and mono. It never goes away, Darnold.
Stop trying to kiss me, Sam.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some shitty hoops with Marco. And then I think there's some other crap on here too. So be back in a minute. Bye.
Jacksonville, Miami. Like they tried to hype that shit up.
Well, remember we had what was it Cleveland, Cincinnati?
That was a good game.
Yeah, that was actually good.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just like
hate each other. Those two teams hate each other.
On paper, though, I mean, yeah, no one wants to see no Cleveland, Cincinnati game.
No. Well, but that's one of those games that like I'll watch just because of the violence. You know what I mean? It's like Steelers Ravens is always fun to watch because they try to kill each other.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's too.
I'll give y'all, any of y'all, if you've seen it on the TV, it's not a fair answer. But if you could name the Broncos starting quarterback tonight.
I already know.
Yeah.
He went to Boise State.
Kellen Moore.
I think it's embarrassing that it's not what's his face who used to play with Jacksonville.
There he is right there. I just showed it.
I just missed it. It's
tonight.
Ripien.
Yeah.
Brett Rippin.
I knew who it was because I almost picked him up in fantasy when I saw you starting, but it was just like
he's Mark Rippin. Who was that guy that used to play?
His I think it's his nephew, right?
Yeah.
Where's Bortles?
Yeah, it's so embarrassing. Bortles is that bad.
Injured.
He's not injured.
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Where's Drew Lock?
Injured.
He's hurt.
Drew Lock's hurt, shoulder injury.
And when the hell did Bortles get injured? In camp?
In practice, I think.
Jeff Driscoll was just bad.
Yeah, Jeff Driscoll played last week and he looked like ass.
Driscoll?
Someone's last name is Lloyd Cushenberry.
The one from Florida.
Yeah, Driscoll was shit in Florida.
Well, when he was taking PEDs, he was pretty good.
He played for
Florida and then Louisiana Tech, I believe.
That's a great football name though for a quarterback.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Rippin.
Where's my boy Connor Shaw at? That's what I want to know.
I don't think he's still in the league.
Rippin.
Yeah.
Him and J-Bo.
What's his name? Wound up cutting him. Gruden, I think, cut him.
Connor Shaw is, it doesn't say. So he's no longer in the league. It doesn't even say he's a free agent like it sometimes says. He's just not in the league.
Where's that guy, Nathan Peterman?
He's probably
my boy Josh Allen is leading the league or leading the AFC in a whole bunch of different metrics.
He's
Apparently,
like an
killing it.
MVP candidate.
Yeah.
that makes me horrifically angry
Why?
because he took Tyrod's job, man.
Everybody takes Tyrod's job.
Yeah, even the LA. It's a conspiracy.
The doctors are helping out Justin Herbert.
Yeah, man, it's a conspiracy. The NFL.
What's that noise? Mm.
AV.
Hey,
Oh, hello, little girl.
Hi.
V is for Violet.
Yeah, don't pay attention to him. He's weird, Violet.
And this is my mommy and my brother,
Your mommy
Oh.
and your brother.
What's your mommy's name?
Jessica.
What's your
Jessica.
brother's name?
Yeah, my brother is Justin Nightmare.
Oh, the whole name.
And
What's
my
his social?
daddy is Rona.
That's right. I love you, boo.
Love you. Good night.
Good night, bub.
Night night.
Your time.
Come on the camera, boy.
Ah! Hey, Jackson. Look at this cool thing I learned today.
What?
I told him about your cool celebration. He's so red. He's blushing.
That's the
That's
coolest
So
celebration
embarrassed,
ever.
dude. I just
It
told
is
him that I thought it was cool.
It is cool, Jackson. Don't be embarrassed.
Love you, Bug.
He ran so fast.
How do they know?
So red.
Said, pew.
All right, we ready to rock?
let's do it.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back from the break. This is Fish and Grits, the podcast. Baseball's fun, right? Sometimes it can be. But there is a sport right now that's going on that's actually more fun than baseball. No, I'm not talking about Major League Lacrosse. I'm talking about the shooty hoops on the court. It's time for the layup, aka I'm gonna get this right, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint.
Did y'all hear that?
Marco Restrepo.
Did y'all hear that?
Here, what?
Yeah.
Did y'all hear the siren?
No, play it again.
No.
Okay. Damn it.
You can. Well, I'll edit it. Play it
That was
next
really
to your mic,
cool.
and you can do your intro.
My mic is so good at isolating; it doesn't pick up any of the speaker sounds. So good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, man. So
Hey, bud.
wait.
Oh, never mind.
Let me say it. This is time for the layup, aka. Oh wait, damn! I forgot the finger roll, aka jelly time, aka points in the paint. And oh yeah, just we were talking earlier about we were besmirching the good name of Cleveland, and apparently LeBron James, the king of Cleveland and of professional basketball, has a home in Ohio, located in Summit County, just northwest of Akron. It is a huge mansion with a sports bar, home theater, recording studio, a bowling alley, and 6 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. So Summit County is where the rich people in Cleveland live.
It probably costs like $250,000 because so I got a buddy who lives in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania, which is like I think it's north of Pittsburgh, but it's like it's the woods, right? Like it's like the woods. Subway is like one of 5 restaurants that they have over there.
Damn.
And I was like, let me see what houses go for in Ridgeway. I found a 5-bedroom, 3-bath on like this like pretty big sized lot for $80,000. I went, "Skrr, what?"
We're moving to Ridgewood, guys.
Yeah. Well, and then like now that I work remotely, I'm like, oh man, let's go. But then I remember that it snows and like they don't have a Target nearby. It's just a Walmart. I don't think they have fiber internet. And I was like,
Pennsylvania sort of blows in a lot of places.
ugh. Anyway, Marco, it's the
Hoops.
finals, man.
It's the finals. When you were talking about an interesting sport, I was sure you were talking about hockey and the newly crowned Tampa Bay. What's the name of their team?
The Lightning. They beat the Dallas Stars. Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
Gives a shit about hockey.
Hold up.
The Stars
hockey?
actually, I think, were the. Hold on. The Stars have an interesting history. really quick, just for
the other 82 game sport.
Yeah. So you know how professional sports have a history of relocating teams, but then like not renaming them, right?
Mhm.
So like the Los Angeles Lakers are actually from Minnesota,
Right?
and the New Orleans Jazz were from sorry,
From
the
New
Utah
Orleans.
Jazz were from New Orleans, right? The Dallas Stars were the Minnesota North Stars from 1967 until 1993.
I had no idea. I wondered why. I think we asked this question the other day. It's like, why are all the Texas teams named after like some type of Western type of cowboy thing, but then they're just the Stars?
Yeah, well, because they wanted to be like, hi man, we're like cowboys, man, we're riding horses. But this is the only time that I can remember that you moved a hockey team away from, like, you moved it farther from Canada rather than closer to Canada.
Right.
And they won a Stanley Cup in 1998.
Really? The Dallas Stars?
That was
did?
when they got they essentially pulled the Yankees and loaded up, right?
Yeah. But it's still interesting to me that like Winnipeg came here to Atlanta. We also had the Flames for a while. They're always talking about how Phoenix is gonna lose their NHL team. The only time it's ever worked is in Dallas, and then they just got beat by a team from Tampa, Florida.
Hey, poetic justice.
So basketball. Hey, I heard you liked the Miami Heat to go to the finals. Now's your time. Now's your time to gloat.
Oh yeah, I did pick the Miami Heat to go to the finals, didn't I? They
I think
did a
you were
good
the
job.
only one.
Huh?
I think you were the only one that called.
No, there's
that.
some other people. There's a couple other people,
I meant
but
in the podcast.
oh, in the podcast. Well, Ryan was sort of close. He was one game away from being right. But this is all just a big LeBron James tribute, so it made sense that the that the Miami Heat would win in 6.
You mean these finals is a LeBron James
Yeah,
tribute?
it's just the only reason they restarted the NBA season was just to pay tribute to LeBron by way of Kobe. And so let's talk about the game. So Miami, they beat the Boston Celtics in 6.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, did we already talk about that in the last episode, or had that not happened yet?
I don't remember. I think we were looking forward to it. So
okay, so yeah, that happened. The fact that Boston didn't have a big man and wasn't really a complete team sort of reared its head. And the Miami Heat were able to get to the finals, and the Lakers obviously got there easy, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, and it's probably going to be 4-1 again. But so now they're there. Game 1, the Heat got off to a pretty good start. They had like a 10-point lead early in the first quarter, and then after that, I've never seen the 3 best players on a team get hurt back to back to back like that. Jimmy Butler got hurt, then Goran Dragic had a mysterious foot injury, and then Bam Adebayo, his shoulder got ripped out of his socket again somehow.
It's mighty coincidental, isn't it, Marco?
It really is. And then literally it's just Tyler Hero by himself. Jimmy came back, so they're saying Goran Dragic is they don't know if he's going to come back for the rest of the series. He might, but then they say Bam's definitely going to play.
This just means that they tried to bribe Jimmy, like while he was back there, and like he's such a psychopath that he was like, no.
It was really the oddest thing about when they talked about Goran Dragic's injury. They were like, well, he was just walking back to the court like everything was fine. And then they got a phone call, and then he went back to the like. They got a phone call from who? I thought everybody was in the bubble.
It was Chris Paul.
Right.
You're not supposed to be playing.
It was Carlton being Chris Paul.
Right.
That's the guy who got Doc fired too.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. And we'll get to that. So yeah, that the first game wasn't very competitive, but the Heat came back and were able to finish with an 18-point spread, which won me $100. But let's talk about it, guys. So what do y'all think about this series thus far, and how do you think it is going to roll out? Let's go, Michael. What you think?
I actually have kind of a hot take on this one.
Ooh.
I feel like this one kind of has 04 Pistons Lakers vibes, where it's the Lakers were just dominant, and it's like, oh, this team is about to run through this series. But I think the Heat are a lot scrappier and a lot better coaching than most anybody wants to give them credit for. Like, Spoelstra is a very good coach, and I think Spoelstra is a much better coach than Frank Vogel is. So I think as the series goes on, you're going to see them make some adjustments. Now, granted, I think it was essentially, it was, in the words of the great Shane Falco, it was a quicksand game for Miami, where, you know, started off good, then one thing went wrong, and then another, and next thing you know, you're just in over your head.
Murphy's Law.
And you know, the Lakers couldn't miss. You know, you shoot 65% from the 3-point line. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen again in the series. I mean, that's like getting struck by lightning twice or hitting the lottery twice. So, you know, the Lakers can shoot, but they're not that great of a shooting team. So they shot the absolute lights out. But like I was talking to one of my coworkers about it today, because he's rooting for the Heat too. And he said to shoot as well as they did and only put up 116 points, it kind of gives, like, it's like, you know, the Heat can have some hope, because it's like, you know, if the way they shot for us to lose by like 18, you know, they should have just shot us out the gym. It should have been a 30-40 point game. And, you know, Kendrick Nunn came back and was balling, put up 19 in like 16 minutes or something ridiculous like that. So
18 and 20.
Huh?
18 and 20.
Oh, 18 and 20. So yeah, I think that, you know, while everybody after that first game, the Lakers looked so dominant, everybody is writing off the Heat, but I think the Heat could potentially come back and shock them.
Ryan?
I've been going back and forth on this because the Heat just looked so bad in that first game. They looked off. Their zone rotation was garbage. They didn't play it that often either. I think the first time they came out into it was like in the third quarter or the end of the second quarter. I guess they just got too ahead of themselves, too cocky when they went up 13 in the first quarter. And then the Lakers went on that 28 or 35-3 run, I think is what it was. I mean, they went on a tear. But it depends on the Heat's health if they're going to compete at all. But man, the Lakers were just clicking on all cylinders. The one thing that the Lakers do better than anybody is close out on shooters, because they have so much length and they're so good on defense. And I think the lights might be a little too bright for some of these guys. You know, this is Jimmy Bucket's first finals. This is, you know, Goran Dragic is the only one that didn't really look like he was a little shook by being in the finals, because he's an old vet and he's done it over in Europe quite a few times. But
then he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Kendrick Nunn. Hold on, Micah. You had your time. It's my time to talk.
Will you just shut up, man?
It was just one person I wanted to point out in particular.
Who?
It was Iggy. This is Iggy's 8th finals, and he looked like he's never been in the finals before.
Yeah, his sixth in a row too. By the way,
I don't even want to hear people talk about Iggy anymore. People keep on talking about him like he can contribute. He is so washed.
Well, but I mean, you would expect him to be more poised. I mean, his mind, he was like minus 30 in that game.
Minus 25.
Terrible.
I mean, he was 3 for 7. He's just not good at basketball anymore. I mean,
his athleticism's lost him or left him.
And he was never a good shooter, so it's like, what does he have left?
But
go ahead, Ryan.
The thing that I was watching last night the most is the way that they attacked the zone when they went into it, and it was beautiful because I mean, other than the drive and dish by LeBron, because I mean, when LeBron was going into the paint, man, that whole Heat defense, their eyes went whoop inward, and they lost discipline. And you can't lose lane discipline with LeBron because he will hit someone on a skip pass in about half a second, and it's coming fast. So what they were doing was with Rondo, though. They were letting Rondo handle the ball more against the zone, and they were letting him direct the offense on it. And they were going, all right, we're going to ISO. We're going to let Rondo run it from up top, and depending on what he sees with AD, either Rondo's going to dribble penetrate on the defense and let them collapse on him, and he's going to kick, or he's going to try and take it for a layup, or he's going to feed it down to AD in the post, and then from there, Rondo is going and setting off-ball screens for the shooters. So with AD down in the paint against Adebayo, that's a mismatch. I mean, Bam is a good weak side defender, but going up against someone with as versed in the paint and as big as AD is in the paint, it's just a mismatch. They don't have the height or the length to compete against that. So they were having to send help defense. And as soon as help defense sucked down, AD was kicking it right to a shooter.
Crowder on AD for a lot of the game.
Right. So, I mean, it's just when you're having to put Jay Crowder, who's 6'7", 6'8", maybe, on him, AD's just too good for that, man. And as soon as that help defense came from either the corner or the top of the key or the wing, boom, to another shooter. And they weren't taking that first shot either. They were moving the ball and looking for better shots. So unless the Heat get drastically better, which they can on defense, because I mean they're a very well coached team, and they are 1 through like really 8. They're good defenders, but they're gonna have to get a lot better, and they're gonna have to refocus because they looked like they were just overmatched. And if it looks like that in game 2, this is a sweep. They may get lucky and get a gentleman's sweep if they play like that, but I doubt it.
Lionel?
I want to respond to Micah's assertion about winning the lottery. I saw that video about that guy who won $750,000 on a scratch off, and when the news was taking him over there, he bought another scratch off. He scratched off and he won $1.5 million live on the news. I think the Heat were going to have a really hard time against the Lakers no matter what. Primarily because they have a player who is at worst the second greatest player of all time, and LeBron James, and also the best player of the playoffs so far in Anthony Davis. Davis looks completely rejuvenated since he's come to LA. I think without the pressure of having to be the guy like he was in New Orleans, I think has really sort of opened him up. He's always been a plus defender, but he's getting more creative. And since he can be a little bit freer, I am surprised that the Lakers supporting cast is performing as well as they are, because they're a bunch of clowns, honestly. But Rondo's looked good, which you know how I feel about my man Rajon. Kuzma's looked good. It's all these scrubs that LeBron put together. It looks like it's actually a pretty complete team, which is not what I would have said a week ago. But the other part is, I think that a lot of Marco's conspiracy theories are ridiculous, but I do think he's right about this. I think that the NBA is rigged. I think that the only reason they came back for bubble ball is because Adam Silver told LeBron he was going to get the championship, and then Kobe died, and now they have to give it to the Lakers. So it might get interesting. Might go to 6. Maybe. It depends on how much money Vegas has got out there. But both my conspiracy brain and my normal brain says that this looks like it's a lock. I just don't understand how really anybody except for the Warriors at their peak is going to be able to compete against LeBron James and Anthony Davis when they're both playing at this level.
The Lakers just went to a 9.5 point favorite.
Yeah. So what I think, let me just say what I think is going to happen. So game 2, I think the Heat will cover that spread, but they'll still lose. Game 3, they'll win. And then it'll be over from there. I think this series will be over on 10-9. And the Lakers will win 4-1, like they've won all their other series. Like I said, this is all just a big tribute to Kobe and LeBron, and the numbers back that up. But I have an interesting question that let's just say in a hypothetical situation that the Heat don't win, right? And let's say AD averages 34 and 10, and LeBron averages 24, 10, and 10. Who gets the MVP?
24, 10, and 10, or 34 and 10?
34. Let's say 34 and 12.
And what's his other stats? Like,
I mean, let's say 5 or 4 or 5. Doesn't really matter.
Braun.
Probably AD to me.
I'd go AD with those numbers.
I'd say AD too, because like he is like there's literally nobody on the Heat that can guard him. So he is the main thing that they're going to exploit to completely dominate this Heat team. So I think he is the most valuable player, in this series. And that's clear. But like I said, maybe like LeBron would have to average a triple-double to even really be considered for that. But they always want to sort of give. Lionel, look, you have to say something.
I don't know if I agree with you, man. And I think I'm going to try to explain it as well as I can. I don't think that the supporting cast on the Lakers for Anthony Davis is really much better than the supporting cast for Anthony Davis was in New Orleans. I think just as far as like pure basketball skill, I think if LeBron James wasn't on that team, didn't touch the court, nobody had to think about him, whatever, I don't think that the Lakers would be as good as they are. I think the fact that you have LeBron James on the court using his basketball brain, helping direct the offense, and then also being a legitimate, terrifying scoring threat and an incredible defender, right? Like at least once a game, you have a LeBron block that you're just like, oh, right? That means that Anthony Davis can be that main threat. They can exploit his size and his athleticism then. But if LeBron isn't on the floor, Anthony Davis is maybe 50% as effective. I think anytime you put the best player in the league on the court, everyone else gets better. And that's why LeBron looks like he's about to win a chip with, is J.R. Smith still on that team?
Yep. He played 1 minute last night.
Was it Markieff Morris?
Yeah. Marquise Morris actually
he's been playing out of his mind these playoffs.
Those guys are going to get a ring because LeBron James is there.
Dwight Howard is about to get a ring.
Yeah, not because Anthony Davis is there, because LeBron James is there.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'd say that it has as much to do with AD as it does. I
agree. AD has been playing. I mean, the fact that AD's become a knockdown shooter from 3 too. That's.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, that was it.
I think it's kind of like Shaq when he went to the Heat that year, where Shaq was the big dude, was the big dog, but he was like Dwayne. He let Dwayne Wade just kind of do his thing, and that Dwayne Wade was the reason they won the finals. So I think while LeBron is the big dog, the big name, I think AD is shining so much that if they win this series, you can't give it, like, you have to reward it.
And I would love that. So to me, like I dislike LeBron a lot, but that would be a win for me if LeBron doesn't get the Finals MVP. I'd be like, yes, it wasn't you.
Directly to LeBron James.
What'd you say?
I want to talk directly to LeBron James for a second.
Go ahead.
Bron, do you hear this? Do you hear this madness? They're saying that Anthony Davis is the reason why you might win the finals. Don't listen.
Not the reason he'll win the finals, but be the most valuable player.
Don't listen to
for
them.
The series.
Prove them wrong, LeBron. Come to Atlanta. We have a young core that you can shape into whatever you want. John Collins, Trae Young, those other guys. You come here. People already have your jersey, your Cleveland jersey, your Lakers jersey, your Heat jersey. Some people have all 3 of those jerseys on one shirt. It doesn't matter. They're going to love you. Plus, LeBron, you know that Lou Will's wings are really good. Don't tell me you haven't been to Magic City. You could just go for lunch. We won't tell your wife.
But that you made, it's funny though that you said that, because I was saying that last night. It's funny that So AD was number 2 for the defensive player of the year, right? But the whole narrative was like, why didn't LeBron get any MVP love? It's like, wait, shouldn't the AD got MVP love? I mean, anyway, speaking of
What
LeBron,
are you freaking out about? You
Me
two?
and Micah just watched the same play.
Bruh.
Jerry Jeudy just mossed the shit out of somebody.
Jerry Jeudy just did what Julio did to what's his name? Kuechly.
Kuechly when he went up over Kuechly.
Not quite as impressive, but it's close.
Yeah, that was yucky.
Oh man,
That was
no one's gonna top my boy Julio.
Speaking of,
I hope I had
yucky.
Jerry Jeudy playing in fantasy.
Speaking of yucky, but oh wait, okay, so speaking of LeBron coming to Atlanta, there's actually a player that is potentially on the move. The Clippers, as we've all heard, are falling apart. Doc Rivers was fired, rightfully so. And Paul George could be on the trade block. It appears that Brooklyn is mentioned as a likely destination, which I would think would be overkill. But does he fit on the Hawks? I'm gonna go ahead and answer that first. Hell no, I don't want his choky ass on the Hawks. Like, hell to the fuck, nah. Hell nah. Anybody else want?
Paul George proved at his stops with both Oklahoma City and with Los Angeles that he was good on the Pacers because he was on the Pacers.
I want to go next. I want to respond to that.
Okay.
Paul George on the Oklahoma City Thunder was an MVP candidate and averaged 28 points a game.
Meh.
I actually have been having this fight all day with actually the past 3 days in another group chat I'm in with Marlon and a couple other basketball guys that we know from Xbox. And Paul George actually made his way to the discussion 2 days ago. I think Paul George would be an ideal fit here, simply because he's a veteran. He can handle the ball off. I mean, like, he's not like the best player that would fit here, but he would certainly help us a lot. Good wing defender, elite offensive threat when he's healthy. It takes a lot of the pressure off of him. It would be kind of like going back to Indiana
because he's not playing in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, then he also has an elite point guard next to him, which he's never had. He had Westbrook before people jumped down my throat, but Westbrook in my eyes is not a point guard. He's an athlete.
No,
he's an athlete playing point guard.
And certainly not an elite point guard.
Right. Trae Young orchestrates an offense, and he demands that the defense move 5 feet beyond the 3-point line. And that's going to open things up for someone who's also an elite shooter, but also in a very good slashing wing. So, yeah, I mean, he's exactly what we need. I mean, in this draft, it's like, that's the reason I want Anthony Edwards so much, because he's not a good two-way guard, but he's a guy who can take pressure off of Trae Young and handle the ball. He can shoot, and he's a good offensive threat. And you could get all that in Paul George, in a veteran, and play defense. So
Cam Reddish sort of projects out to be a Paul George-like player.
Shift Cam to the 2, though. Have Paul play the 3.
Well, I agree. I agree with you on that respect. I think Paul George really could help us, at least help us get to the playoff stages. Now, I mean, will we win in the playoffs? Probably not, because I don't know if he's, playoff P turns to a completely different player in the playoffs. So, but like, my only concern is what we would have to give up for him, because I'm not willing to give up anything like what the Clippers gave up to get him in the first place. I think this playoff run has kind of should have really lowered his value, and the fact that he's pushing 30 now. So, I maybe a first rounder, if we had to throw like a first and Herder, maybe possibly.
John Collins? Would you give up John Collins?
Fuck no.
No. Not for him. But like I said, like if we give up a first and maybe Herder, possibly, just because we're so deep at that 2-3 position. But yeah, I'm not Like if they wanted Cam or Collins or nah, we're done.
In the series against Denver, Paul George scored 19, 22, 32, 10, 26, 33, and 10. In the 3 losses that ended the Los Angeles Clippers season, he was good for -6, -13, and -15, respectively.
I'm talking about his over under his plus minus.
Plus minus.
He shot in the last game, in the elimination game, playoff P was 2 for 11 from 3-point.
And he hit the side of the backboard.
He said the
And had a total of 10 points.
Yeah.
Whatever the Clippers are paying that man is too much. So
let me just say
he
this.
was a free agent.
Right.
They want to trade Dwayne Dedman. I'm good with that, but any rest of the piece of like our young core is going to be at least as good as playoff P.
Dwayne Dedman would be an excellent fit for the Clippers, by the way.
Yeah, they need somebody to
Call your boy Ballmer, man.
But
call your boy Doc Rivers, but he's unemployed.
Right. But so Paul George, what we found out about Paul George in this playoff run is the reason the reason he might work in Atlanta is because he obviously needs, some type of female stimulation to play well. And we got the strip club. So that would work in his favor. Right. But to be real, though, what we discovered about Paul George is how inefficient of an offensive threat he is. Like he dribbles, takes a bad shot. And that's pretty much his offense.
You won't do that with Trae Young, though.
I'm just saying, but
what
I'm just saying
point
what
guard
we
do they
found
have
out about Paul George is that he is a very inefficient. Like I said, he needs to be more catch and shoot sets, and then that's where he's more effective. But anytime Paul George isos, he just dribbles into a bad shot. And this dude's like 6'10". Like, bro, you could just shoot over anybody. You're 6'10". You don't got to dribble like you're 6'1".
Coaching.
But here he would be more catch and shoot just because
with Trae Young.
With Trae, yeah.
Exactly.
I think a lot of it comes down to coaching. We know that Doc Rivers isn't an excellent basketball coach, but Scott Brooks is. And who is the guy that they had in Indiana?
Scotty Brooks is a good coach. What?
Yeah.
Please stop.
Now he's coaching the Bulls.
Scotty Brooks. You're talking about Billy Donovan.
Brooks, right?
Billy
Brooks
Donovan,
is
my bad.
Washington.
I know. I was
Billy
like,
Donovan.
I'm
Might
trying
be.
to think of like, what is Scotty Brooks?
Billy Donovan. They have the same haircut.
You will
Scotty
refer to
Brooks is
him now as
terrible.
Bully Donovan.
Bully Donovan.
Bully
yeah.
Donovan.
Yeah, Billy Donovan's a good coach, man.
No, he's a great coach.
Yeah, so he could coach Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, Paul George in Chicago would be actually a good fit.
That'd be a great fit.
But I'm sort of scared though that Doc Rivers might end up our coach. Like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
You don't have to worry about that. He's employed.
He's employed by who?
Yeah.
Sixers.
The Sixers. They signed him to a 5-year deal.
As the head
Already?
coach?
Yeah.
As the head coach?
Yeah. Look, if you
Oh
just
my
scroll down
God,
the
they don't
rundown
wanna
there.
win.
Or
They don't want to win at all.
Somebody didn't read the
actually,
rundown.
the very first point of your section. Breaking news: Doc Rivers signs 5-year deal with the 76ers.
Where
He
you
was
see
unemployed for like
Number
12
one.
hours.
Oh, breaking news. Yeah.
Well,
wow,
I mean,
Philly.
he is a former championship winning coach, so he was
That was
gonna get
KG's championship.
somebody. But I mean, it doesn't
Say
matter.
louder.
It doesn't matter. Like Tyronn Lue's about to get a head coaching job, so I mean, it doesn't matter X's and O's. It's just, this guy won a championship, and we have a good team. Let's get him in here.
He's
That's
just
like
so
Dirk
bad
Cutters.
at X's and O's. He's just so bad at X's and O's.
It's that
I agree.
attitude that makes that gives Tom Thibodeau coaching opportunities every 6 months.
The only real upside with Doc is I think he's a good player management, like ego manager, which when you have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, it could help, but you're gonna need some kind of X's and O's. You need something.
I miss Jimmy Buckets on that team.
You just
He doesn't.
right.
I know, but that was my favorite when he was just like,
You're awful.
The thing about a 1-2 with like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is it'll never work, because if you do a 1-2 thing, your two has to be able to shoot. Like Shaq Kobe, Shaq D Wade. I mean, any 1-2 big guard combo you think of, the guard has to be able to shoot.
At
Otherwise,
least shoot a little bit.
you're gonna have a worse road record than the Hawks, like the Philly did last season.
Well, with Joel Embiid is either shooting like 30-footers or trying to back people down. Either way, it's just like, dude, what are you doing?
He's just so lazy, man. I watched Joel Embiid, and his want to is just so not there. Like, he doesn't fight for rebounds. He doesn't. He's just so, I don't know. I think they should probably move on from him. Philly should probably trade him to like Houston or something. Get James Harden up in that bit. Anyway, that pretty much commences the NBA portion. Jelly time, punch in the paint. Shouty. Oh, now it's time for
the Grits Blitz.
Grits Blitz.
Got it right that time, gentlemen.
Yes, you did.
Blitz Grits.
The Blitz Grits.
I'm good with that too, actually.
Blitz some grisses. So as I'm watching this god awful Thursday night football game with the Broncos and Jets, looking like low level college football here, or Florida State football right now.
I was going to say Big Ten football.
Don't Donald Trump say Big Ten football?
Oh my God! Don't even talk about that.
With the Jets and Broncos looking like Pac-12 after dark.
We had some news.
I saved it.
I saved it. I brought it back, and every sports fan in the country is going, huh?
Man, will you just shut up?
Hey, I saved Mountain West Football Conference. I'm just saying.
I saved the SWAC.
Mountain West is playing because of me.
Oh my God.
I can't wait for some more Maction this weekend, by the way. Just letting you guys know.
Some more what?
Maction.
Are there t-shirts with that on?
Mid-Atlantic Conference.
Oh, gotcha.
Toledo, Ohio, Miami of Ohio.
Woo.
We played Jacksonville State, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you see Georgia State had their game postponed because they read the COVID results wrong?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they thought they were like, oh, we have positive COVID results. And they canceled the game, and they were like, oh, no, we don't, dummy.
Oops.
They read the test results wrong.
Yay, Georgia State.
Georgia State's got
that's
Carolina
That's tough.
at noon on Saturday. Georgia State -1.5, by the way, Marco.
You say Eastern Carolina?
East Carolina.
The Pirates.
Justin Hardy's old stomping grounds.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
who's still unemployed. All right, so we had a COVID outbreak on a couple teams here recently. Most importantly, the Titans, because they're the ones that got canceled. I believe they had 5 players report positive.
Did they release the names?
No, they're not allowed to. Because of that, the Steelers and Titans game gets delayed to TBD, essentially. They don't know when it's going to happen. What's probably going to happen is this is going to be both of those teams' bye weeks, and then that game will probably move to one bye week. I don't know, because they don't have bye weeks the same week, I'm assuming, unless they just got lucky and do.
Lucky.
Yeah, right. It's all a conspiracy. Because of this, the NFL actually sent out a letter today outlining stricter rules for when you have a positive COVID test or positive COVID interaction. So if anyone on your team tests positive, or a team that you just played has a positive test, everyone on your team must wear masks on the practice field at all times, including all staffers, no exceptions. There's no taking it off or anything like that. If that's the case, they go on the COVID list. The weight room is limited to no more than 10 people at a time now. All team activities must be in large rooms or outdoors. So in the case of Atlanta, we're lucky and we have that indoor facility where they've been doing it, and everyone's just spaced out and doing it in there. But I've noticed, I saw something a while back on this gossip page that I follow on Instagram called Gossip of the City. and she's probably one of the most accurate gossip web pages I've ever seen. And she reported back like 3 weeks ago that certain players in the NFL have been completely ignoring COVID outlines. And she's like, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say what team, but I will tell you it's a Southern team. And so I was like, fuck, it's Atlanta. God damn it. And people in the comment sections were like, oh, it's got to be the Falcons. It's going to be the Falcons because, strip club culture here and, we're wide
And of course it would be us.
Right. But it wasn't. It
Tampa
wasn't
Bay.
us. It was the Titans.
Oh, wow.
And the
Can I
picture
just
she
have
put
feelings
up, go
about this?
go for it.
No, tell me about the picture first.
The
Sorry.
picture she put up was Ryan Tannehill.
Tannehill.
I was
Who
like,
was he?
really, of all players, I would not expect the quarterback, especially Ryan Tannehill, to be out there. Just,
What was he doing?
I mean, he was out in clubs and stuff, which you're not
he's out
supposed
in
to be
clubs.
doing.
Well, if you're in Nashville, so
Right. So,
if there's
Speaking
ever
of
a place
Nash
for white,
Vegas,
if there's ever a place for white people to go to the club,
I saw Derek Carr was out there at some event without a mask on, throwing footballs at people.
the whole
at
Raiders.
people or with people? Because it would be hilarious if he was just throwing them at people.
It was at people. It was like a fundraiser, and he was like, they were
Run!
signing balls, and he was like, it was a lot of people there, and then no one was wearing a mask. They said Jason Whitlock was there, or Witten, not Whitlock.
Oh, I was about to say, what's Whitlock
I
doing
hope
there?
he catches it.
Witten was there, and he was just taking the balls. And
Did you
throwing
say
them
you
into the
hope he
crowd.
catches it?
Yeah, forget him.
I thought the same thing, but I didn't say it. But I'm glad you said it.
I don't think anybody is a Whitlock fan in here at all.
I like Whitlock a
Especially-
little bit.
I think one of the maddest I've ever seen Micah is when I think it was you, Lionel, that called him Jason Whitlock because one of his
Oh,
hot
yeah.
takes.
That was like week 1 or 2 of
It was
this.
like, "Rah!"
That was just a preview of all the times I'm going to make Micah mad enough that he quits the stream for a little bit. Micah, next time I make you mad, just be like, "Will you just shut up, man?"
That sounds familiar.
Y'all, I love how the NFL is like acting like we haven't had the Rona around for 6 months. Like I like how they're acting like it's brand new. Like they're like, well, now we're gonna make sure that there are only 10 people in the weight room. It's like,
Mandatory
motherfucker,
mask.
what did you think we've been doing this whole time? You know
Well,
what
that's
I mean?
only when you have a positive test result
Right. I'm guarantee you it's gonna move to being like
all the time.
yeah, because and it's the same reason why like we were talking before the season about how the NFL just totally fumbled it at the goal line. That's a football metaphor. Because they were acting like we haven't had the Rona for most of this year, and then they're like, we don't know what we're gonna do. I was like, bitch, you had a 6-month head start. Like Major League Baseball was doing like spring training when this shit hit.
You're
You
like,
know what
oh
I mean?
shit, what?
You had 6 months to watch what everybody else was doing and make a plan. Instead, y'all pulled a Donald Trump and we're like, it's gonna disappear by the summer. And so the fact that they're like, okay, now we're only going to have 10 people in the weight room at a time. This is why the season's going to get canceled before the halfway mark. It's because of this. And Roger Goodell should be fired.
It is tough,
should
though. Go ahead.
the entire Las Vegas Raiders front office and Jerry Jones. Who else don't we like? The Jets ownership, Sean Payton,
Tom Brady.
Dick Quinn, Tom Brady, and Kyle Shanahan.
Just force Kyle Shanahan to come back to Atlanta. Convince him that
Unless
it's
he comes
safer
back to
here.
Atlanta. That's his choice. He can either quit football forever or come back to Atlanta. He can bring the entire 49ers roster if he wants to. He has to keep Julio Jones. Everybody else can be
Just
from
merge
the
the rosters.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Have them fight it out in camp. And the guys who get cut can go to San Francisco. San Francisco doesn't deserve anything.
But
You know how expensive it is to live there?
Oh yeah, but it's hella difficult to I've been working out like through all COVID. It's really hard to even just to lift weights and have a mask on. Like I went running routes and doing all that shit that they're gonna be doing. I wonder what kind of mask they have that allow them to breathe.
They're all using that like neck sleeve thing.
That shit don't even
Isn't
work.
effective. Like, yeah, it's a mask.
Listen, it's when you're inside. Okay, here's a coronavirus PSA. Okay. It's not transmitted through surfaces really easily. Okay. So all this extra cleaning you're doing is just health theater, right? It's mostly transmitted through increased, sustained, or repeat exposure to positive people in recirculated air. So it's inside. So don't be inside with a bunch of other people.
Right.
Okay,
that
that's
AC
a good.
gonna be spitting out that COVID.
That's a good segue to our next topic here, since you're talking about health theater. So the Falcons have signed a contract with Skynet, and for all of their games coming forward, they've brought in drones to clean the stadium. There's going to be 2 drones flying around the stadium, large industrial sized drones flying around the stadium, and they'll have a third as a backup on the field that will be spraying chemicals on things to kill the Rona. So they partner with the Charlotte-based Lucid Drone Technologies for D1 disinfecting drones to sanitize areas. The drones use electrostatic spraying nozzles for even distribution of medical-grade disinfecting chemicals that include an inhibitor that prevents bacteria and virus from adhering to surfaces without leaving a residue. The non-toxic hypochlorous acid solution is in compliance with the EPA, blah, 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 blah.
It's bleach.
Wait, how can it be non-toxic if it kills viruses?
I
It
don't know.
won't
Ask
kill
Lionel.
you unless you drink a lot of it.
Oh, non-toxic to humans.
Correct.
If you just get it on your hands, you're not going to die.
Probably.
If you rub it in your eyeballs, it will probably sting.
And you'll get
Probably.
You can just inject disinfectant into your blood.
Inject bleach.
You knew that was sarcasm. You knew it was sarcasm.
No one knew that was sarcasm, Donald. Everyone heard you say that.
That was
And
clear.
saw your face.
was
There's
clear
a
sarcasm.
video. So Sarah Connor is going to be showing up shortly.
Man, can we just pick one fucking apocalypse? Okay.
Nope.
Can we just pick one?
It's 2020. It's the mashup of all apocalypse.
This is the dumbest shit, man. You know, it's sort of like we had like was it Cowboys versus Aliens, you know what I mean? Freddy versus Jason. Like the last thing I want is like
Predator
a
versus
disease
aliens.
apocalypse and an AI apocalypse and a nuclear apocalypse with Russia nuking us and a Donald Trump apocalypse and the weather's trying to kill us. This is bullshit.
The drones are going to get smart and go around Atlanta, start spraying people in the eyes. Ah!
You know, this sounds to me like a total. Whoop, Tucker's here.
He heard something about robots.
Laying down. This sounds to me like a total con job, right? Like this is totally a grift, and it makes me mad that we aren't worse people because we could totally start a cleaning drone company, and then we go to someone and just like, look, you want to clean your stadium? We got drones that do that, and there are people who are, you know, old people who are in charge of all these huge companies and stuff like that. They hear like drone technology and artificial intelligence and machine
Buzzwords.
learning. They're like, holy shit. When in reality, it's just like some kids with like a PS4 controller and an Android phone, right? Just like spraying bleach. It's bleach.
Why are the drones riding balls on all of our stands?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like we could go get some like DJI, you know, Phantom drones, right? And like we could use an Arduino board and like put like spray bottles of like Clorox underneath them.
Just write it in crayon.
Yeah.
Disinfectant.
Like
Put a Falcon sticker on it.
$1,000 an hour for it.
Man.
You'd be like, we're disinfecting things. We're helping you with the Rona. And like as long as we have like a slick logo on like black polos, we could be fucking rich. But instead, we're good people. Only terrible people get rich in this country.
Isn't it sort of ironic though that they're worrying so much about cleaning out the stadium so fans can come back when the team is terrible?
But they can use the fact that they're only allowing a certain number of fans to come in. So like when like only 2,000 people show up, like whatever the sales are for that game, they'll be like, that's the most that we let in. We're sold out.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Scott.
Speaking of terrible teams, let's talk about what happened on Sunday again. Now that we've had a little more time, and not about the time where Lionel and Micah almost killed each other over the Zoom call,
They almost
and
cursed
Micah
each other
literally
out.
virtually slammed the door in our face.
I felt so bad. I just want to say, like, I felt so bad. I was like,
Going back and watching Micah furiously reach for the end call button on the video was so fucking funny.
I was like, what did I do?
I glanced down for a second. I look up and Micah's gone. I was like, wait, did his internet go out? And both of y'all are going.
Oh man. So my B again, Micah, dude.
No, I mean it's fine. It was just like, I was already frustrated. The combination.
I like how you were like, I don't have any
time to record.
I don't have any feelings about it. I have no feelings at all, and I'm like, oh, it was the coach's fault. And Micah's like, ah.
Oh, man.
But now, now that we've had the debate, now I can just say, will you just shut up, man? And it'll be funny instead of like almost funny swearing at each other.
Mike almost dropped. He was like, you almost dropped the motherfucker, and then you almost like, shut up.
You go, no, shut up.
I was so close.
That's how I showed Nicole the whole thing, and she was like, "Ooh, drama."
That's how you.
No, that was good. It was a good clip.
That's how you could tell we've got a good show going here. You know what I mean? Like when Skip and Shannon are trying to shoot each other from across the soundstage. That's how we can tell.
Going live is volatile. I love it.
Yeah. All right. So
So from there, we all thought for sure. Well, Micah was a little uncertain. Micah called it. Micah said, I don't think Dan Quinn's going to get fired. And here we are, rolling up on another weekend, and Dan Quinn is still employed. Lionel, you had mentioned something that you had read earlier about that.
Yeah. So we should have known from when Mike Smith's last season played out here in Atlanta that Arthur Blank isn't the kind of guy to fire somebody and eject him from the bubble. He's just too classy of a broad, with the exception of Frank DeBoer. Ooh. But that's a whole nother thing. So Dan Quinn has basically the entire season to save his ass. If his job is safe, as long as he makes the playoffs, which, we might not be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs for quite a while, my friends. And there are even some universes in which we make the playoffs. So we need to get ready for DQ ball and dirt cutter ball, because I also haven't heard anything about the offensive staff changing in any sort of way. So it's going to be a long season, friendos. Just a preview of the other teams that have started 0-3. The top performing teams finished 7-9. That's the best record that we've gotten in a 16 game season from a team that started 0-3.
I thought if some 0-3 teams won the Super Bowl.
No, it was 0-2. 0-2 was the Giants. There's never been an 0-3 team that won the Super Bowl.
Let's see.
Oh wait, no, the Texans went 0-3 last year. And
I made the playoffs.
Yeah. I think they finished like 11-5 too.
Yeah, they won a division.
Yeah.
They don't count.
They didn't make the Super Bowl though. They didn't even make the conference championship.
Yeah.
They had a lead.
It's not out of the question. Especially with as bad as this, like the Saints offense, like Drew Brees is done. Tom Brady is a shell of himself. And then there's Teddy Bridgewater, who's looked okay, but it's a bad team. I think they'll get better as they go. So it's the crazy thing is Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in the division right now. That's the weird thing. Well, no, it's not, because we knew he was going to be good, but it's just the pieces around him on defense aren't performing.
We didn't think that Matt was going to be the best quarterback in the division.
No, we definitely did not think that.
And that's the funny thing, is that in the year that Tom Brady comes and is shit, and Drew Brees is shit, and the Panthers are shit, we are also shit.
But I mean, I did expect precipitous drop-offs from both Drew Brees and Tom Brady.
You called it.
But I didn't come right out and say that Matt Ryan would be the best quarterback in the division, but that was sort of implied.
The only difference, though, is with the Buccaneers, their defense is starting to look like the defense that I thought they were going to be. and Tom Brady just doesn't turn the ball over, so they're not getting gassed on the field. So
Right.
they could still be a very, very, very good team just because of sheer talent.
Yeah, they're gonna get their wins, especially against bad teams.
It's just
like the Falcons.
Like the Falcons.
They still don't match up great against us just because their corners are good, not great. Their interior pass protecting line is okay. They're more of a run blocking line. So if we can ever get healthy on the defensive line again, it could be a good game. So I watched some videos actually the night of or the day after, I don't remember when it was, of the immediate reaction after the game of some of the players. And man, like typically you see players like in game one, you saw them like, yeah, we didn't execute. We need to do this. And they kept their professionalism about them. In game two, they were pissed, like, damn, that sucks, but we have to execute our plans. Game three, it was raw emotion. They were depressed. They were in front of the mics and the cameras, like, don't know, man. I don't know how we did that again. We suck. We got to do better. Like it was a complete departure from what you're used to seeing when teams lose and what they do in the post-game interviews. It's man, I don't know. It's like the team's broken. I'll be shocked to see them bounce back from this because that was a soul-crushing loss, especially to do it 2 weeks in a row. You made history in week 2, and then you doubled up on history in week 3.
I feel like this Green Bay game, though, is like the perfect Atlanta game to win.
I know. That's how I feel, too, unfortunately.
When Dan Quinn is like, okay, 0-4, we're definitely getting him out of here. And then he's like, oh, need to beat Green Bay.
Win 9 games in a row.
We win by like 20, too.
Right.
We play. So Matt plays well on Monday night. Matt plays well against Green Bay. Dan Quinn coaches, like, if you look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers against Dan Quinn defenses, they're mediocre. So he knows what he's doing against him. It's just, are we going to have the tools? So let me I could tell you this, but I think has a little more impact if I did. Actually, you all have the rundown, so you can see it too. So we are completely decimated by injuries right now. I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
Holy shit.
Decimated by injuries right now. Last game, we were missing Julio. Russell Gage got hurt. We were missing our right tackle. We were missing Tack. Fowler was dinged up. Sheffield was still out.
When was this list from? Today?
This is Thursday's report. So for those of you listening, and actually on the podcast, you won't, or on the YouTube, you won't see it. So I'm just going to go through the list. It's about 20 people deep.
Oh my God.
So Marlon Davidson returned from the report, and he's full participation. Matt Gono, he came back. Kendall Sheffield, thankfully, was a full participant in practice, but he probably won't get a full game's run because this will be his first game back. Russell Gage, who was concussed last game, limited participation. Jacob Tuatui Mariner, who's a backup defensive tackle, he was limited. Foyer was limited. Julio was limited. Caleb's still limited. Now, here's where it gets really bad. Here's the guys who still didn't practice this week, and it's Thursday. Typically, if you don't practice by Thursday, you're not playing on game day. You have Ricardo Allen, Younghoe Koo, Calvin Ridley. They said he's expected to play because this is more of just like you need a rest day. Dante Fowler still dinged up with his ankle. Keanu Neal, Grady Jarrett, and Tack McKinley.
God damn it.
That's not only half of our defense, it's all of our good players on defense. And we're already the second worst defense in the NFL. So
I would expect Dante Fowler to play. Just like we expect Julio to play on, even if he misses practices for a full week. He's a vet, he's cagey. You don't have to play him at practice. You just save him for the game and you put him in a rush.
Here's the one thing that's not even listed on this because he's now out. Darqueze Dennard, who was our star in the secondary in game 3, is now on injured reserve. I think what they say it was a hamstring or calf. It was hamstring injury, right, Micah?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you lose him now, and now you got to rely on hopefully AJ Terrell gets cleared from COVID. I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe old boy 26, I forget his name, Oliver. Looks like he knows how to play
you see
his football
that play
again.
where Oliver like got completely turned around on a simple post route?
That dude looks bad.
I think all of our hopes for him we can pretty much just throw him out the window. He's not a second round pick, man. He's just not.
That's what I was about to ask. I was like, wasn't he a second round pick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's got all the tools, all of them,
except the brain.
He lacks the speed, so it's like Brett basically said he's not fast, so he panics in like a lot of situations because he's always scared he's going to get beat.
I mean, BK did it to him though.
You gotta play smart if you don't have the speed. Like Asante Samuel, that man wasn't super fast, but he was cagey.
His instincts were out of this world though.
And like Brent Grimes, remember Brent Grimes going up against Calvin Johnson?
Yeah.
Shut that man down. Brent Grimes is like 5'5".
5'9" maybe.
Well, I mean,
like that perennial chip on his shoulder.
Like that, like the touchdown he gave up to Allen Robinson. If he had just tried to tackle him instead of trying to strip the ball out of his hand, Darqueze Dennard was doing it all game. But it's like, dude, just go for the tackle. Because he went for the strip.
Into the play there.
Yeah.
Mental gaff. No, but you made a great point, though, because I think that I do see that with Oliver. It's like I feel like for most of his life, he's gotten by on his athletic ability. But now that he's at this level, because a lot of the dudes who you talk about their instinct, they were never the elite athletes. So they developed those instincts because of that. I feel like he's been getting by on that for so long that now when he sees these guys that just all run right past him, he's like, oh, shit, what can I do?
That's actually – I've had this theory, and it's not for football. It's really for any sport. But basketball, you never want your superstars to become coaches. LeBron might be the exception.
Kobe would have been a great coach.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
He would have been a really good college coach because you can get away with treating the players like shit then.
Right. But you always want the guys who weren't great athletes and but still excelled at the sport to be your coaches because they had to learn it mentally. Those are always the guys that make your best coaches. That's why Patrick Ewing, it took so long for him to become a coach just because it's like, yeah, you were 7 feet tall and dominated people because of strength.
Right.
I mean, and look at Jordan. As great of a player as Jordan was, and he knows the game in and out. The problem is, it's almost like he expects players to know it as well as he does, and he doesn't know how to. It's like the genius who can't teach the layman's term. He can't put his own knowledge in layman's terms for.
Or like Prime. How has Prime never been like a coach?
He is now.
Where's he at
State.
now? Jackson State. Yeah. That's like the first time after 30 years.
Well, he didn't want to become a coach, and then recently, because he was coaching his kids throughout high school in Texas there, so he wanted to coach them. And then when he finally became eligible, he's like, all right, my kids are recruits now. They don't need me anymore. Florida State came to him like, hey, be our defensive back coach. He's like, how about head coach? And they're like, you don't have experience. He's like, okay, bye. So he always wanted to be a head coach.
And the rest is history.
But I think this is his path to come back to Florida State, though.
Yeah, he should have. I feel like he should have taken that DB job just because I feel like it's like what you said. It's like he's a star, so he didn't want to humble himself.
Right.
It's like, no, I need to be in the front right now.
Well, I think partially, but coaches kind of can get stuck in limbo almost. Oh, you're a position guy, defensive coordinator. They might bump him to defensive coordinator, but it might be 15 years before he gets in a position to get a head coaching job at Florida State. So it's just
this way he goes from being head coach to head coach.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And if he somehow manages, say what?
It's like my man Lane Kiffin.
Right. If he manages to get Jackson State respectable, then I'm sure somebody will come knocking on the door.
I will argue with you about your hypothesis, though, slightly, Ryan.
Go for it.
In soccer,
Wrong.
In soccer, oftentimes some of your best managers were some of your stars. It just really matters. It matters more the position.
Soccer's such a grind sport, though. I feel like everybody is sort of like grinding hard.
Thierry Henry, who was Arsenal star striker, then he went to Barcelona and then the New York Red Bulls. He tried to coach at Monaco and got run out the league, and now he's coaching at Vancouver for the Whitecaps. And
it works in basketball too. Typically point guards make good coaches.
Steve Nash,
right? Jason,
we don't know that yet.
Yeah, I think Steve Nash.
He's not gonna have to be a great coach to coach that team.
Well, you saw what Kyrie said. He said that he doesn't really think they have a head coach.
Yeah, he's a co-coach.
He thinks that him, KD, Jason Kidd,
that's not a good sign already.
They'll all fill that role when necessary. They don't really have a head coach.
That is
why does he always talk?
Not a good sign.
Kyrie Irving needs to just have his own YouTube channel like Joe Rogan.
Really, he is like NBA's Joe Rogan.
The funny, he starts to do stuff to make you like him, like donating money to the WNBA, and then he says stuff like that, and it's like,
this makes me like him even more. I can't wait to watch the Nets.
If they predict them to win 60 games or 55 plus, I'm taking the under on them.
Taking the under?
Yeah.
I mean,
because of
I think the under on any Kyrie Irving team.
I think they could still make the finals though.
I don't know, man. They need to be more complete to compete. I mean, the Heat
Football.
are still there. The Celtics are still there.
Like we were talking about.
Yeah. Back to football.
Let's
go ahead and preview this game versus the Packers. So the Packers have been one of the hottest and most talked about teams thus far this season, deservedly so, because Aaron looks like the old AA Ron. Like I said, like what form of Aaron Rodgers do we have right now?
What form of what?
Aaron Rodgers. Which one's running
beard,
around?
Beard Aaron.
Bearded Aaron Rodgers is a dangerous Aaron Rodgers. He's not the one you want to run across on Sunday or Monday. Mustache Aaron Rodgers, he's feeling himself a little bit too much.
Right.
He's not going to do much. Slick face Aaron Rodgers, he could go either way. But bearded Aaron Rodgers, that's the one you want to avoid.
It felt like the beard started growing after the draft. He was like, man, fuck that shit.
I mean, it's COVID, man. Why shave?
Yeah, COVID.
Maybe it's an extra layer of defense. So what we're going to see is arguably an MVP candidate going up against our secondary, which has been our weak point. We just highlighted a couple of players from it that have been really struggling. We also highlighted that we lost our most consistent corner to date. And right now, both of our safeties are out. So you're going to see Aaron Rodgers facing off. And, not to mention, our pass rush is out. There's no word on Grady Jarrett coming back either because that's a hip injury. And that, as a D lineman, you need your hip to fire off right to get any type of push or pass rush. So, Micah, what do you expect from Sunday from Aaron Rodgers going up against our secondary?
My expectation is he's just going to destroy us. My more optimistic side hopes that they overlook us because of how poorly we it's potentially a trap game for them where they kind of take us not seriously, like, oh, they lost to the Bears, they just blew a lead to the Bears, and they come in and don't come in as focused as they should, and we wind up stealing this game. But I mean, everything else says that this could be an absolute slaughter.
LaFleur did say, he's like, this team, we're viewing this team as a 2-1 team. He's like, this team should be 2-1, but they're just not because of.
That's almost like disrespect. That's
it's a slap in the face.
It's my old boss.
Right. So, Marco, how would you employ our ragtag, our motley crew of defenders against Aaron Rodgers and possibly Devontae Adams, possibly not?
Rush 3, man. Just put everybody back.
I'd give Aaron Rodgers more time as your solution.
I don't know, man. There's no because when we rush 4 or 5, they still don't get there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think the defense is going to be a factor in this game. It's just going to be a shootout. It's going to go over, and I'll probably put 20 on the Falcons just because the odds will be good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that they could, just get a sneaky win just because it's a time for them to lose and really solidify how bad Dan is. But we'll get that win just to fuck with our emotions a little bit.
So we do have here is 2 top 10 offenses. The Packers boast the 2nd ranked offense, and the Falcons have the 7th. Now, Lionel, what do you see? How do you see this balancing out? It's a number 2 offense versus a 31st ranked defense, and a 14th ranked defense versus a 7th ranked defense. Where's going to be the give there?
Logic says that it's going to be a shootout and that we end up losing by 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, just because a Rodgers offense can outpace ours. They have better play calling with Matt LaFleur. They have a better quarterback with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers also, my light died. Rodgers also, this week I saw that story that he used to pretend when he had Mike McCarthy as his head coach, he would pretend like his helmet mic didn't work so he could call his own play, which is exactly what we want Matt to do, but he doesn't. But
that's too funny. I did not hear that. That's hilarious.
So logic is telling me that it's a shootout. It's probably a good game for 3 quarters, and then in the 4th quarter we just get fucked. The score won't show you how close the game actually was. But I'm on the same page as Micah. We play Green Bay really well. We play them well in Lambeau. And we have a team that is playing for their coach's job, essentially. We'll have a defense that is well coached and surprisingly good against the Bears last week that will be playing for their coach. We have an offense that has been underperforming regardless of injury. And the Packers defense, while they might be 14th, doesn't scare me. If we looked as good as we did against Khalil Mack and that pass rush in Chicago, Roquan Smith and that linebacker core as well, I think that we match up pretty well against Green Bay's defense. The problem is that I think they match up better. So for me, as far as like making a prediction, my gut versus my head, it's a toss up for me. I could see it going either way. If we win by like 2. And it's because we get like a really like uncharacteristic Falcons defensive stop in the 4th quarter as they're driving, or like a pick or a fumble or something like that. And we'll all be like, oh my God, I'd say Oliver was worth the 2nd round pick. We'll all be like super pumped.
The season's saved.
Yeah. But more realistically, we get run out the house in the 4th.
This just popped into my head, and I'm gonna run with it. Green Bay goes up big, goes up like 17, 31-14. I'll say will be the score. They go up big, like halftime, and we're gonna be like, "Oh God, here we go. We're done." And then we come back, and we score a last-second field goal to win the game, like 40-37. I'll call it. They only get 2 field goals in the second half, and the tide turns.
That it was funny you said that. I literally heard someone
turntables.
I heard someone on the radio, like on one of those late night CBS shows. They were like, maybe the Falcons just need to get down big, so they can
take the pressure off. But that's what we did last year.
That's what happened against Seattle, though, and it didn't work. So
didn't work. I want to remind everyone that before the season, I called this is the game that got Aaron Rodgers benched in favor of Jordan Love.
You're already right about one of those. So.
I was right about the first one, so I'm 1 for 1. So
maybe he gets hurt.
Maybe I'm not going to wish it on anybody. But I'm on the record. Just want to remind everybody that I'm on the record as this being the game that gets Aaron Rodgers benched for Jordan Love.
And I think you said Jordan Love beats us too, though.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds
pretty sure you said that he was going to get hurt.
Where does Aaron Rodgers go after this season? Because he's obviously not staying with the Packers because they drafted Jordan Love in the 1st round.
Is his contract up after this year?
Oh, he's still got like 3 more years. 2 or 3
I don't think
years.
he's going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's going to demand a trade. Where's he go?
Jordan Love looks like complete ass, by the way, in practice. They said he looks terrible, not even close to worthy of a first-round pick.
Well, I mean,
we knew that, but where does he go? Where do you want Aaron Rodgers to go? What's your dream scenario for Aaron Rodgers besides Atlanta?
San Francisco.
I don't want any other teams to be
He
good.
knows the system already.
With Jimmy G? Or instead of Jimmy G?
Mm-hmm.
They
would
only like the Dolphins and the Raiders, and maybe
I'm gonna tell you the one who's going to try and get them, Dallas, because they're not going to pay Dak long term, and then
he'd have to go play for Mike McCarthy again.
Yeah, no, I say L.A.
The Rams.
Wait, they just signed
the
Jared
Rams
Goff
or the Chargers.
Yeah,
the Rams. They just signed Jared Goff to a big deal, though, didn't they?
Yeah, that was last year. So
I say the Raiders.
The
Since
Raiders.
I like the Raiders, so I'd say the Raiders.
Colts are a possibility too.
Not Washington.
Hell no.
Not New England. Wouldn't it be funny if he goes to Cleveland and he leads the Browns to the Super Bowl?
Oh God,
they would lose though.
They do have talent though. They got talent.
Does that make Aaron Rodgers the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah.
If
he won the Super Bowl with the Browns, yeah.
I think it does. I think all of a sudden we're like, Tom Brady, who? Brady never took the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Belichick couldn't take the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Right. Who's the head coach in Cleveland right now? It's somebody who I don't like.
Stefanski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did y'all hear about, speaking of Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott, did y'all hear what Jerry said about Dak on the radio?
Dakota?
Yeah.
What?
He said him not being able to pull off that last second play last week against the Seahawks is the difference between he and Patrick Mahomes or even Tony Romo.
Oh my God.
Tony Romo. The
Dallas
same guy
fans,
who fumbled a snap on a
Mr.
field goal.
Anti-clutch himself.
Dallas fans are the worst by far. Like they are so overreactionary all the time. Y'all have lost to like 3 like great teams.
Could you imagine your owner coming out and be like, you know what? That's the reason you're not great at your job. These other guys, they could have done it.
Now, if they go out here and lose to the Browns, then yeah, they can start worrying. But losing to freaking Russell Wilson is not something you should be like.
Well, I do
season about.
I do kind of agree.
Like 14 other teams are going to lose to Russell Wilson. So
right.
I mean, I do kind of agree that Pat Mahomes probably would have scored on that play.
Probably. We're talking about the greatest football player ever here. Like,
but I mean,
he's a goddamn wizard.
He is a game shark.
He's not. He's not real. The simulation is fucked.
It was kind of funny though, because Dak made a great play getting out of a sack, only to throw a pick. I was like, oh. But you got me excited for nothing.
All right, let's refocus here. Oh, go for it, Marco.
I was just saying, speaking of Pat Mahomes and that Monday night game, like, oh my God, he made Lamar Jackson look like incompetent football player. Like, oh my God, he was playing with them.
Some of the windows he dropped those balls into, I was like, what?
He was just playing with them.
Bro, that like I told my coworker,
I don't want to hear about your coworkers anymore, Micah. You only talk to us about football, okay?
But what's his name? Nah, the Mecole Hardman thing. I was like, Mecole Hardman played at Georgia. I never remember him catch a ball like that at Georgia because we never had a quarterback.
I was about to say, y'all haven't had a quarterback since Stafford.
Mecole Hardman.
And when y'all do get one, y'all ship him off to the Big Ten.
Mecole Hardman fills the role of the requisite Georgia wide receiver in Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris Conley, Mecole Hardman.
The fast guy who was never great in college, but it's like balls out up there.
Then he met Pat.
All right.
Andy Reid and that whole staff's play calling versus the Baltimore, like I was watching some of those play calls. I was like, what? Throw the fucking ball.
That put me on the Bieniemy train. I was like, all right, well, when Dan Quinn's gone, I want Bieniemy. There's no way.
Shat on Lamar so hard.
Oh my God. And you know how I feel about my man Lamar. He did come right out and say it though. He's like, they're our boogeyman.
He looked so shook, man. It's like, oh my God, like run or something, bro. Do something.
And Chris Jones is a man child.
Chris Jones
That
is
dude is a man amongst boys.
beast.
He just and the way he was in Lamar's face and he couldn't even run away from him. I'm like,
Oh my
bruh. That's a big
All right,
boy.
Ryan, come on.
Yeah, let's refocus here. All right, so against the Packers, knowing what we've talked about, knowing their ranks, where are our advantages, Lionel, or do we have any?
I think our running game versus their defensive line is probably a plus for us, especially if we start doing more than just a halfback dive and then like a toss from the shotgun. I would be interested to see if we try to do some more outside runs, especially with Brian Hill. He seems like he's got a lot of explosiveness. I also wonder which kind of Gurley we're going to get. But I like our offensive line versus their defensive line, at least in run protection. We also, I think, have the edge in wide receivers versus their corners. And that's based purely on the fact that I think our corners are consistently no matter who's playing, consistently the best core in the league. I think that they just look, next man up, that sort of mentality. They look really good all the time. I'm really interested to see if Cutter is going to start employing some of our fucking tight ends.
Yeah, that was annoying last week.
Because I think Hayden Hurst I think that's our biggest upside, really, is Hayden Hurst versus their linebacker and safety core. On the other side of the ball, I think they've got us whipped everywhere, especially if Grady's not playing. And especially if LaFleur comes out run heavy in the first half with what's his name?
Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
And they also have old boy from Boston College who looks like he's made out of granite.
AJ Dillon.
Yep.
Really, what's the name? Jamal Williams still getting more touches than him though.
Yeah.
They finally have a decent running back group up there in Green Bay. And I think that they've got the offensive line to run it down our throats for the first half and make our defense really tired.
And LaFleur is he loves to run the ball.
Micah, where do you see our advantages, if anywhere?
Naturally where we have on everybody. If Julio plays with Ridley and Russell Gage, if our receiver core is out there, we should be able to beat any corner group of corners. I think I agree with Lionel, but especially if the receivers are there, the run game, we gashed we gashed the Bears with zone runs and draw plays. If our receivers are healthy, the draw plays should work again. I think the fact that we've utilized Gurley and Brian Hill and Ito, if we can keep them fresh, then we might be able to get a good production. I saw a stat. I think they said Brian Hill had 2 less yards than Gurley, and Gurley had 8 more touches or something like that. So, we offensively, we have some potential places where we can gash them. Defensively, I'm actually not sure. Our run defense has been very good, and even without Grady, they've still held up against the run, because late in that game they weren't running against us even after Grady went out. Now, granted, they were down, but when they did try to run with David Montgomery, they weren't gashing us.
Marlon filled in admirably, and so did Simone.
Yeah, so I think we might be okay against the run. The problem is, and they don't have great receivers, but Aaron Rodgers is so good. If you don't have the linebackers or the edge rusher to contain him and keep him from, because he had a couple nice runs in the last game. It was just take off, still get down. He can still move, or he can extend the play and throw 50, 60-yard bombs on the run. So Yeah, I think we have some holes defensively, but I think offensively we should be able to move the ball against them and gash them.
Don't forget, Aaron Rodgers is the master of the hard count and the offsides encroachment play, right?
Yeah.
And we have an undisciplined and young defensive line. So we could see Aaron Rodgers, he loves to do that hard count and then take a shot once we go offsides. We could see a bunch of those on Monday.
Yeah, they got the Saints on a silent count. That was crazy.
Marco, where's our advantages, if anywhere?
Our advantages should be, dickhead Dirk. I always get scared, when he's calling plays, but our advantages should be moving the ball because we need to exploit the tight end, exploit our wide receivers, and call good plays. Like Hayden Hurst should be a major target, against the Packers, especially when it gets around to playing like the Saints. Like I think moving the ball for us, now scoring, I don't know. But, moving the ball should be what we do well this game. And then, yeah, like you said, run defense. So, but then also like that's not necessarily a great thing because it just lets Aaron throw the ball more. So, yeah, like run defense and then, matchups, with our receivers and tight end.
So I'm going to rewind it here a couple of years for you when I really knew Shanahan gets it or got it. Take it back to 2016 when we matched up against the Broncos, and the Broncos had a very similar defense to what the Packers have right now. They have two really good man press corners, a free safety that loves to roam, and they have great pass rushers off the edge. Jair Alexander and Kevin King have been playing very well on the outside. Adrian Amos is a very good safety. And then Zadarius Smith and
Preston Smith.
Yeah, Preston Smith and the Smith brothers are just beasts off the edge. So the way we attacked the Broncos then was we forced that 3-4 front to cover our running backs in space and our tight ends in space. They're going to expect us to, try and get it out wide, get it out to Julio, get it out to Gage. Julio's not going to be full health. And they're going to have Jair follow him. And Jair is a lockdown corner for any of you who have not watched him. I would rather them put him on Julio than put him on Ridley. Just because, Julio's going to get some attention. Julio's going to get some passes here and there just because he's so athletic. But kind of use him as a sacrificial lamb in the passing game. And allow Hurst, allow Gurley, who is an excellent receiver at running back, allow Ito Smith to split out and force some of those mics to cover him, force safeties to cover him, and take advantage of that speed and that athleticism we have there. And then also run the ball. Run the ball against that front because they are very aggressive and you need to wear them out. Even if you're down in the first half, run the ball. You have to wear them out, have long drives, force those linebackers to run a lot, force them to run sideline to sideline, covering, like come out in these pistol sets where you have two running backs and a tight end in the backfield with you and just split them out, have them run routes and make those guys cover 50 yards every time. You're going to
want a different offensive coordinator than the one we have.
It's in that playbook. I know it's in there. It's the Shanahan playbook. It's just whether or not Cutter goes, these are the plays we need to run.
He has Shanahan's playbook, but his playbook on the inside, like a comic book on the inside of a biology textbook. His playbook's much smaller, but it says Dirk's super awesome, better than Kyle's playbook. And it doesn't have any tight end routes.
It's just, I get that. And
it's all 5 wide.
It's wishful thinking, but
he glue sticks some motion plays and then like he cut it out from it. It's like, look, I do have Priest now. I do have Priest now.
He's got like a picture of Kyle Shanahan. He's like drawing all over his face. He's like
drawing mustache.
Stupid Shanahan. He's a dummy.
I don't know why everybody likes him so much.
I'm very smart. I was very good at math in school.
All he did was have one of the most efficient offenses in NFL history.
I just had Jameis.
All right, so I think that's where our advantage is. I think we have to attack their less than agile, larger 3-4 backers to really offset that pass rush. If we lose, if it's a bad enough loss, do you guys, even though what is leaked, because nothing's come out from Arthur officially, if we lose bad enough and look terrible on prime time on Monday, can that be enough for Dan Quinn to get fired?
No.
Marco?
So yeah, like you said, I've been hearing like the national pundits say like, you know, they're eyeing a week 10, like a bye week fire if it's that bad. But what I found is national pundits barely ever know anything about the Falcons. Right. So I say if we do lose embarrassingly bad, he does get fired. But like I said, I think we'll win this one in spite of what needs to happen here.
Micah?
I don't think so. I just don't think Arthur Blank wants to. Like I said, 2007 when Petrino quit on us midseason, he saw what it's like to have to deal with finding a coach in midseason. So
well, you wouldn't find one. You would just next man up.
Well, but yeah, I mean, I still don't. I think he didn't like how that played out. So I think he might be opposed to firing a coach midseason and deal with interim coaches and stuff like that.
He clearly doesn't like his other options. Like
what you're saying, Micah and Lionel, is that Dan Quinn obviously has some Robert Kraft-esque photos of Arthur Blank, which is why he's not getting fired.
Well, I mean, like think about remember the season with Mike Smith his last year where we lost that Browns game when he called the timeout and to help set them up for their last drive, and everybody, all Falcons fans were like, dude, he needs to be fired. And then his explanation was, well, they were going to call the timeout if I didn't use ours. Of course, that's the point. So, you know, that we all expected Mike Smith to get fired. He let him finish the season. So I think that's probably what he's going to try to do and be like, I'm going to give you an opportunity to redeem yourself. If you go deep in the playoffs, potentially, like I said, I would be like Super Bowl or bust. If you don't make it, if you don't win a Super Bowl, you're done. But yeah, I mean, if you're not going to fire him, that's the only thing that would save your job.
You're saying if he starts on another historic 0-5 run, that he's still just going to be
11-0.
I just think Arthur Blank is not the type to just be like, get out of here mid-season.
Look, you don't know.
If he was going to fire Dan Quinn, it would have been after the onside kick thing. And if it wasn't immediately after the onside kick thing, which got our team, you know, ridiculed in the national media, right? If it wasn't then,
destroyed.
It was the next week when we blew a lead against the Bears, right? Like, he has all the justification he needs. I think Arthur's the kind of guy, based on everything that I've seen, especially with Mike Smith, he'll let him finish the season because it's the gentlemanly thing to do. And Arthur Blank knows that at this point, we're not going to get a coaching staff that's all of a sudden going to make us go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So it's not like firing DQ now is going to change the season. All it would do is make us feel better.
I disagree, though. I think that firing DQ could potentially change something. You know, like, I think it could inspire maybe, you know, some action.
Well, remember when the Chiefs fired Todd Haley? And Romeo Crennel stepped in as the interim head coach and did a good enough job to get hired as their head coach for a little bit. And that was a terrible hire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you fire DQ and you end up with one of the coordinators as head coach, God forbid Dirk Cutter, one of the other coordinators as the head coach, and then the team gets inspired and then goes on a run, then we're stuck with that coordinator.
Not necessarily. They could still get rid of him because it happened with the Browns.
We fire Dan Quinn, then we hire one of the cleaning drones as our head coach.
Hire me. I will run Ask Madden running Shanahan's playbook, and we will win more games. I swear to God. I'm also going to run Ask Madden on defense.
I could totally see if they hired Lionel, Cutter sending into the play. No, scratch that. Scratch that.
I would fire Dirk Cutter and hire Ryan to go sit up in the booth but like in front of him is just like he's got like a gaming PC and he's playing Madden and he's just sitting there with a controller and like he's got like the pencil in his ear and his glasses on as a headset and he's just like, Matt's just like, are you using Ask Madden? He's like, shut up, I told you to run a draw. Quarterback draw, like
we're running the Ravens playbook, by the way. What do you mean triple option?
I would trade Matt Ryan for something. I think that this team is stale.
Trade Matt Ryan for Doug Peterson.
Nah.
I would call Ozzie Newsome. I'd be like, yo, Ozzie, man, what do I have to do to get
take?
my boy Lamar over here? What's it going to take? I'd call Bill Belichick and be like, send Cam home. With his hair and his hats and his ridiculous outfits, I don't care.
Oh, man.
31 teams in the league didn't sign Cam Newton. Fuck.
Let's call that a segment on the Blitz grits.
That's it. So for the lightning round, I don't think we should have a lightning round question because it's just going to get stolen by Andy Bunker. Andy, we know you stole our lightning round question. If you didn't know, Andy Bunker is on the midday show, Andy and Randy, which they really need a cool name like Fish and Grits for their show. But Andy stole our TV family thing. So in protest, we're skipping the lightning round question for this week. I am going to do some recs, just sort of recommend whatever you want to recommend. I'm going to recommend Flavor God spices. They've got one that's sort of Southwesty. I put it on an avocado with my lunch today, and they also have like a cinnamon roll like seasoning mix. Anyway, Flavor God. If you Google it, it'll start following you in ads on Instagram. So you'll be compelled to buy it. Anyway, Ryan, recommend something to the good people.
What do I have to recommend?
I also recommend not watching the Falcons game on Monday.
Just listen to us.
Listen to us.
I'll recommend. I don't really have a rec right now.
Mako.
My man Trent, who painted that picture for me that I showed y'all earlier. He's actually he's like old school, so he doesn't have social media or anything. So it's really just an empty rec because there's no way to find him. But
if you do,
if you do, his name is Trent DeTrenci. He's on the east side, near like Boulder Crest and around that area, and he does a lot of commercial painting on the east side. So some people watching this probably know Trent, but
go find Trent.
Micah.
I recommend watching the Braves. They might go deep in the playoffs this year. So let's go. Yeah, go Braves. Go Bravos. Let's go.
Now here's a guy who knows how to watch baseball. I fucked that up in the end. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Remember to tune in on Monday during the Falcons versus Green Bay game for live reactions and lots of sadness over on our YouTube channel. Ryan's going to have us up over there. Special thanks to everybody, all of our friends, all of our family members, everybody who sort of has helped us, keep this thing going, from our graphic design, our merch, to, Nicole helping out with the social stuff. Marco.
Not anymore.
Anymore?
When did she? No, I'm just
it's all Marco now.
That was like episode 10 and forward.
Well, I've missed a bunch. Marco for all of our video stuff and everything like that. Marco, we really appreciate you. Bunker for being a friend of the show, even if he does steal our segments. We appreciate y'all, even when you thieve from us.
Thanks to Chef Flu for all the lovely fish and grits and that you've sent out to us.
Are we gonna get another round sometime?
I got to talk to him. Maybe, possibly.
I mean, I'll throw
like keto grits. They're made out of like bacon fat.
What?
I don't know. I got to see what possibly some other version.
You got to have a cheat day, Micah.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Here, let's take it out on this note. It said the Atlanta Braves just won a playoff series against the Reds. The last time the Braves won a playoff series was 2001. So the last time the Braves won a playoff series in Atlanta, Marta was still using tokens. The belt line didn't exist. Atlantic Station was still under construction. Arthur Blank didn't own the Falcons, and the Atlanta Thrashers were the cool new team in Atlanta.
Ooh. Bye.
On the other hand, 28-3 didn't exist.
Life was good.
Yeah, that's what they were showing some clips of Julio catching a touchdown against Green Bay, and I was like, damn, that was before the whole world knew.
That was the game where we saw the all the memes that like the Xbox meme, like your opponent has quit. It's a picture of Julio running down the sideline. And I was like, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. Never be happy. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Deuces. Oh wait, I was about to end it.